Comic books officially back on the high end? Today, we're going to find out. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another stream with Swaggle Haas. We got ourselves a good one today. A platinum auction watch along. You know how we do on these types of streams. We got comic books being sold and we got to commentate on them and window shop on all the books that we're not going to buy today. Just kidding. You guys might be actually buying some stuff. I mean, I know that there's some well-to-do people in the chat that might have their eye on certain books this evening, afternoon, morning, wherever you are in the entire world. Who knows who these buyers actually are? I would actually like to know who these buyers are because we're going to be streaming for a long time. Okay. We're going to go all the way from the start of this auction, which is starting right now, which I apologize that I started the stream a little bit late, but I have a good reason. Okay. I had to get a fresh cup of coffee because we're going to need it. Because we're going for a long time. We got to start from the beginning of this auction and we got to go all the way through to maybe the most anticipated book of the day, the Malibu Sun 13 in a PSA 10, already sitting at $20,100. Can it set the world record for a Spawn comic book? We're going to find out together. But before we get into it, if we can do a couple of housekeeping things, guys. Housekeeping, hit the like, share the stream. Maybe you guys can help me blow it all up. Let's see here. What other housekeeping things can we do? I just wanted to say thank you all to everybody who has been tuning in to the last couple Ungraded Truth episodes. We're having a great time with our show, with our podcast. Really appreciate everybody hanging out in the chat. If you would like to tune in to the next show, because you haven't been tuned into that show, you can head on over to the Ungraded Truth YouTube channel. Link is in the description. We're already at 1,000+ subscribers. We did our last episode. Views are starting to climb. We're doing good. We're gaining. We're growing. Like the comic book market, we're trending upwards. But maybe more importantly, if you guys really want to do me a favor, do your boy Swaggle Haas a solid. Head on over to the Spotify page. Okay. I spend time editing this stuff down to get it onto Spotify. You can head over here and, give it a review. Click on an episode, listen to it, give us a 5-star rating. Links are in the description. So I would appreciate all that. All right, let's take a look here and see how you guys are all doing in the chat. A lot of stuff I have to do before the stream start. There's so much that goes into it. We got to prep the screens. We got to log into this. We got to share this. We got to do that. And sometimes I'm missing stuff. So let me make sure that we are dialed in. I'm going to put the stream on in the background. Just so you guys know, we are watching. We're going to jump right into it. But let me just say quickly, hello to a few people in the chat. Shout out to you guys, Derek. And shout out to Your Meme Game is Weak. New member on the channel. I appreciate you, your meme game. All right. Well, in case you guys don't know, it is the Heritage Auction Platinum Edition event. This is the first one of the year. Usually they do 3 throughout the calendar year. And this one is especially important to me as far as like us getting a sense of where the comic book market is. We've been feeling the rise of comic books selling very well. We've been following the modern comic market and seeing that perform very well. So the question is the high end going to follow? Certainly the high end has been doing extremely well within the Pokemon space, within the sports card world. And so I'm curious to see if we are going to have those same types of things in comic books. Well, we did have our first sale, which was actually for the Pulp, the All Story 94, which is the first appearance of Tarzan, selling for $48,800. We will table that. We're not going to totally recap it at this time because, I don't really know how much of an audience there really is for pulps out there. I know there's a little bit of a cross section, but I genuinely do wonder, like, how many of you guys are into pulps? Like, if you're in the chat right now and you're a comic book collector, like, let me know. Like, what if I did pulp content? I'm a little bit biased here because when I do content, I can see the views. I can see the click-through rate. I have the data. So I know what content is interesting versus not interesting, at least in terms of the people who follow me. And pulp content, not that interesting. Like we're talking like highly specific in a highly specific vertical of the hobby collecting. So I just don't know. I just don't know. But pulps can be kind of cool. All right. Well, let's talk a little bit about what we have coming up before we really get into it. We are about to see another Action Comics #1, or it's actually going up for auction right now. This is a qualified 2.0 copy that currently is sitting at $450,000, let's call it, which is similar to what this book got the last time we saw a 0.5 copy go up for sale. Although that 0.5 copy was like the bathroom copy, if you guys remember, that had a huge stain on it. So to me, it's not that surprising that this is selling for more, which it looks like it is going to sell for more. So that's already a good sign. We'll kind of let this thing go and then we'll commentate on it. We have this All-Star Comics #8. This is the first appearance of Wonder Woman. I do believe that this is one of the highest grade copies out there. And for a long time, it was sitting well below $1 million. I believe the previous sale of this very same book was well above $1 million. It's sitting currently at 1.1. That to me was going to be another like, oh, we should find out like what the deal is here with this. We got an 8.0 Amazing Fantasy 15 old label. You got to wonder if that's going to hurt it. A 9.0 ASM #1, a beautiful copy of an ASM 50 and a 9.8, a 7.0 Captain America 1, and probably the signature book, certainly the one that I put on the thumbnail here, is this Detective Comics #27, first appearance of Batman in a CGC 7.0 that is currently sitting at $1.8 million. The prior sale of this very same book was 1.5, which I believe was in 2022. We'll double check this when we get to it. But a lot of conversation with this one, thinking like, hey, with all these increased sales of Superman, with all these increased sales of the Action 1, perhaps this book is going to be a $3, maybe $4 million book. So has a little bit of a ways to go before we actually get there, but it's going to tell us a lot about the comic book market. Amazing book, Tech 29. We got Tech 31, of course, is amazing. This auction is stacked all the way across the board. This is very impressive already. Superman #1 in a 6.5 at $900,000. I talked about if this breaks $1 million, that's going to tell us a lot. We have a Suspense 3, and then lots of other goodies. We're going to sit through this auction, guys. Get comfortable, okay? We're going to be here a while, all right? Because we have to go all the way through the golden age. We got to go all the way through the silver age. We got to go all the way to, again, the most important book of the auction, which I probably should write down this lot number. There it is, boys. There it is. The Malibu Sun 13 in a PSA 10. Perhaps the greatest Spawn comic book there is in the entire comic book market. Who is it going to go to today? What will it sell for? Well, currently it's going to go for $20,000. Not quite the record. Not quite the record of a Spawn recorded sale, which I believe was for the Error variant signed by Todd McFarlane that went for $20,400, $500, something around that. So we need another bid to beat it. We need another bid. Can the book get another bid? I think it will. I think it will. How many more bids is it going to get is the ultimate question. All right, let's see what you guys are saying here. Howdy swag. I like pulp in my OJ. You guys are kind of saying, yeah, you like some pulps here. All right, let's kind of see. Malibu Sun already over 20. Derek says, Mickey, let me borrow his credit card to go after Tech 27. Derek, I love you, but no. All right, let's kind of see what this Action comic sold for. $625,000. Let's kind of set this up proper this time, okay? Let me go over here to some charts because we got to talk about the numbers. And we got to set this up to compare to other Action comic #1s. All right, here we go. We're going to go to previous sales. This is, to me, the easiest way to look at it. We've been kind of resto copies. Not a lot of people love the resto copies with the Action ones. They seem to get a lot lower, relatively speaking. So here was that 0.5. That was a really beat up copy selling for $408,000. Pretty impressive. I mean, this was really expensive at the time. Like there were a lot of videos that were like, that's crazy that someone paid that for that. And now we got this $625 for the Action Comics #1 with a centerfold missing and a small amount of dry glue on the cover. Dry glue, not a big deal. Maybe someone can Frankenstein this. Maybe someone can find a centerfold and put this thing back together. But I gotta say, guys, that's pretty good. Pretty good. All right, All-Star Comics #8. Let's take a look here. I do believe that this is a book that previously went up for sale. I do think that this was actually one that was at San Diego Comic-Con. Yes, there are 3 copies of the 9.4. So this particular copy sold for $1.62 million back in 2022. Then it went up for sale again at $1.5 million. So this has been a little bit of a town bicycle book. This having the star on it, or the marking here, the Pristine Comics Wartime Comic Fund Edition, which I don't know too much about that story. But hey, if CGC wants to put a sticker on it, that means it's an important book. So it's important. Currently sitting at 1.4, or at least 1.4 would get it to the next bid. See, the problem you have here is that this book has changed hands too many times. You know, what this story tells me is that someone bought it in 2022 for 1.6, and that person probably was a dealer, because just 2 years later, they sold it again for 1.5. And then that person who bought the 1.5 probably was a dealer, or at least a speculator, or some kind of investment group, or whatever you want to call it. Because here we are 2 years later, and it's going up for sale again. So like, this book has not been able to find its home until now, selling for $1.342 million. So down, Wonder Woman's going down. Now, that's not really an indication of the market itself correcting. It's just an indication of, we got all these paper-handed individuals that are not actually holding this book. You know, like, if you buy a book, the rules are you have to own it for 30 years before you sell it again. That's the rules. Okay. That's what I'm doing with my Darkhawk comics. And look at how much of a celebrated comic book collector I am. So I would beckon all of those within the comic buying world to have some diamond hands, you know, hold on to this book. So anyways, I thought that was kind of interesting. You know, this Wonder Woman book has been tossed around, thrown around. I do think that there have been a lot of, this is always the case. A little inside baseball. Okay, a little inside baseball. A lot of the books here on these auction houses get bought by dealers or speculator, flipper people, groups, and things of that nature. You know, it's not very often that you have a person who buys something who straight up is like, oh, I'm just going to like put it away forever. I mean, it does happen, but a lot of these books sometimes are like dealers picking it up because it's obvious. Like, if a book sells for what a dealer feels like is under market, well, they're going to sweep the floor. There's always going to be someone that's going to buy the book that they think is going for cheap, that they didn't have intending, or they didn't intend that morning to buy that book. They were just like, oh, well, this is too good of a price to pass up. So if they buy that book, then they're going to go for a play where, hey, you know, maybe I can list this, maybe I can take it around the country, I can try to sell it, I could go to my network, see if I can move on to the book, make my 10 to 20%, and then be on with my life. But that doesn't always work. And that, you know, we certainly had our pullbacks within the comic book market in the last couple of years. So even at the high end, I think a lot of those people who bought into that stuff weren't able to get that play. And so now you're kind of seeing them flush it back out into the market. You know, it's kind of getting returned back in there. And you kind of hope that either the next person that buys it is going to be a true holder, or the next person that buys it is at least going to be, if they are a dealer, is going to be somebody who wants to sit on it for at least 5 years. I think it's probably a accurate statement to say that if you're not willing to hold a comic at this level for at least 5 years, you run the risk of losing money. Because even if you can sell it for the same or slightly above the same, I mean, when you back out all the selling fees, buyer's premiums, all those haircuts that you're taking, any sort of taxes and things of that nature, I mean, you're definitely losing money. But that's kind of the game that people play, because as long as you get one big, I should say that again, as long as you get one big win, you could pay for all of your big losses, relatively speaking. I mean, you better be a big win, a big, big, big win. All right, let's check in with the chat here. We're going to look at the books, guys, but we got to pace ourselves, okay? I know what you guys are thinking. You're thinking to yourself, swag, you're missing the auction. Pay attention to the books. Commentate to me what is happening right now. Guys, we're going to be going on for like 3 hours here. All right, this is going to be a long one. I'm going to have to go to the bathroom in the middle of our auction. I'm going to have to refill up my coffee, okay? So let's hang out. Let's hang out for a while. Let's derail. This is a big show, okay? So we got to pace ourselves. Stretch first, okay? Warm up. Take it from me, guys. I've been doing pretty good with my workouts. I've been on a little bit of a roll. It's like summertime is coming up. I'm anticipating summer body time. You got to be in shape as a comic book person. This is very important for a hobby, right? You got to be shredded, especially at 43 years old. But I've been doing pretty good. But you know what I have not been doing at all is stretching. I am so, I have such hubris when it comes to doing my workouts. It's like, stretch? I don't need to stretch. That's so stupid. Who needs to stretch? I need to stretch. Okay, because I've been like injuring myself. I've been like waking up in the middle of the night getting cramps and stuff. Do you guys get that? Do you guys ever wake up in the middle of the night with cramps? Like sometimes I have to like throw the bed sheets off and stuff. Anyways, I'm filling up time, as you guys can see. Swag, focus up. Focus up. User, it's going to be a long one, okay? We're here for a while. Get comfortable. Get comfortable. All right. What do we got here? So we had the Amazing Fantasy 15 in an 8.0 sell for $244,000. I'm going to tell you right now, just off the top, and I have no idea what the market is for this current book. That feels insanely low to me. Insanely low. Let's take a look at this. Amazing Fantasy 15 in an 8.0 copy. There's no way, right? There's no way it's 240. No way. Oh. Oh. Bro. Are you serious? Oh, dude. Someone paid $560 for that book. Once Upon a Time in 2021. $560. That's crazy. I mean, we kind of knew it was going to happen, right, guys? 560, 520, 450, 448, 312. But that was already back in 2023. You got to lop all of this COVID inflate. You really got to look at what this thing was going for in 2020 at 180. So 244 probably is now the right price for it. But that's crazy. That's pretty crazy. What did the 7.5 sell for? 144. Okay, that's not as bad. That's not as bad. 8.5. Oh, 552. Okay, what about a 9.0? 540. Last year, a 9.0 540. Okay, on paper it looks bad. On paper it looks bad, but when you know what the whole game was, then it makes sense that it's sold for that price. Okay, here we are, guys. Let's focus up. Focus up. Tech 27 time. Tech 27 time. I'm going to put the auctioneer in the background. I don't think you guys can hear him. Maybe it's going to be annoying because every now and again it's going to jump over my voice. And I'm thinking actually I shouldn't do that, but I feel like it adds suspense. I gotta fix something. Is anybody in the chat like a StreamYard person? I don't know why that when I share my screen, we can't get the audio to play through for you guys. Do I need to do something like Is it a not share screen? Do I need to actually have a specific sharing thing, or what's going on here? I need an audio expert because I'd like you guys to be able to hear the sound. I think it adds to the aura of the whole presentation, which, by the way, guys, one of these days, we're going to go full crazy auction live event presentation. Okay. It's going to be like WrestleMania coverage. That's what I want to do. We're going to have ringside interviews. We'll have a seller and buyer post match talking heads. Like, I want to get everything there. Like, it'll be awesome. All right. There it is, boys. Detective Comics 27 selling for $2.318 million. The world record for the first appearance of Batman, and one of the most expensive comic books ever to be sold. Is 2.3 cool though? I don't know, guys. I mean, it's a lot of money, but like, I think that there were predictions that this would go for more. I think that I had heard more people thinking in the 3 million plus range, and it kind of made sense to me as to why. In a lot of ways, it feels like Detective Comics 27, dare I say, is still undervalued. Is that crazy to say that? I mean, I know that Action Comics 1 is the book. Superman is the hero to own when it comes to comic book collecting. It's not so much the pop cultural relevancy that kind of determines the value of it, because obviously Batman is X amount more popular than Superman. But when it comes to the history of comic books and climbing the Mount Everest, like Action 1 is just that. It's been determined as just that. And Tech 27 has always been number 2. And that's kind of why I think it always gets number 2 money. So we had the 6.5 go for 1.8 million in 2024. We had the 6.0 go for 1.7 in 2023. And we had a 1.7 in 2022. We had a 1.1 in 2022. And we had a 1.5 in 2020. So yeah, it is the most expensive Batman comic book that has ever been sold. It is also, however, the highest grade Batman comic book that has sold in recent years. Is this the same thing? So this book was sold for $657,000 back in 2010. This person, if it's the same owner, now sold it for 4x. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. I do kind of think that if you had $600,000 in the S&P over the last 16 years, you probably would have more than 2.3. Is that true? Is that true? Then we're not going to do this. We're not going to do it, guys. Like, you guys can answer that down below. I don't know, guys. What did you think about that sale? Do we like it? Is that cool? Is 2.3 million cool? I think it's pretty good. I think it's pretty good. Let's take a break. Let's kind of check in with the chat. What are you guys talking about? Sometimes I never know what you guys are. What are you guys doing over there? I never know what you guys are doing down there. Shout out to Manu, the 99 Newsstand, who is in the chat talking up some stuff. Let's see what you guys said. Tech 27 is live. Yes. That Tech 1 dropped like an iron, sold for 53K less than 9 months ago, 43K today. Let's circle back on that one. Let's talk about that in a second. Last year, AF-15 8.0 sold for 280K on Landry, 9/2025. So that's interesting. So 280K on Landry. Very interesting there. You know, it's definitely the auction market and what houses get what prices is starting to become an interesting element here. You know, as far as like Golden Auctions doing their thing, Comic Connect doing their thing, Comic Link certainly being its own thing, Landry and Heritage being their own things. And you would think that the buyer pool would be the same at every auction. Like, if you're somebody who wants a Tech 27, why would you care which auction house you buy it from? If you're a player in that market. But it doesn't always seem to work out that way. Like, it certainly seems like certain buyers buy on certain places and certain auction houses have certain attention, and any given book can sell for more or less on any given auction house a lot of the time. It's pretty crazy to see that. All right, let's see what you guys are saying here. Let's go Spawn. Forget Tech 27. I'm saying, Charlie, I would much rather have the PSA 10 Malibu Sun be in session number 1. That would be great. That would be awesome. Heritage, how is that not your number 1 book? Yeah, cool. 2.3 million. Whoa, wow. But what about a $20,000 Spawn book? That's session 1 material. It's funny. I'm not going to have a good setup for this joke, but like when Ken Golden did the crash out thing and we were talking about you poor and you're broke and stuff, like I have to admit, like I've definitely made jokes, off air to other people of like, man, you got like session 5 money. That's a deep collectible cut. But it's just like, I think that's hilarious. Be like, you ain't got session 1 money. If there was a comic book rapper, they'd be talking about that. Their session 1, you so session 5. I'd rather have the Tech 27 than that Superman 1 for 9 million. Yeah, it's very interesting. It's very interesting. Now, relatively speaking, the Superman 1 in a 7.5, I believe the last sale for that was around 1.5 million, maybe 1.8, somewhere in that number range. So it is true that the Tech 27 sold for more than the Superman 1, as it should. So it's like, you got Action 1, then you got Tech 27, then you got Superman 1, and then you got all the other kinds of books and things of that nature that, like, are competing at any given value, at any given day, at any given grade. But I think that those are 1, 2, 3. As far as the highest end, what those would get numbers for, Action 1, Tech 27, and then Superman 1. Superman 1 is kind of like number 3 on the charts. It's pretty crazy. Because I think Superman 1 at the high end probably outsells. I mean, what are the other grails that there could be? Like Marvel Comics number 1, or like, let's say there was this highest grade copy of Suspense 3, or other things like that. I think Superman 1 is the number 3 book. Let's see here. Let's see. Catching up with the chat. Oh, shout out to Kilted Corgi for the 149 super sticker. I appreciate that, Kilted Corgi. I'm going to take that 149 and buy myself some throat coat, because we're in it for a long one, boys. We're in it for a long one. We're going to look at books in a second. I'm going to have you guys not stare at my face all day, but I'm catching up with the chat. I've been telling everyone they're broke when I hear money complaints these days. You broke and you mad. Anyone having issues with the stream, or is it just my Wi-Fi? I don't know, Sean. It could just be me. All right. Shout out to Circumstances here. What's going on, man? Good to see you. All right. Let's pull it back up, guys. Pull it up, guys. Pull it up. What's going on in the comic book market? All right. So we have a Detective Comics 29 in a 7.0. Amazing book right here. A little bit of a story. I never really told this one, but I'll share with you guys here. Bryce Comics had a version of this book. It was a low grade. It was like a 0.5 restored. He had it for $10K. And as soon as he listed it, I texted him. I was like, bro, I want that book. Are you down to trade it? Because he's always down for trades. Now, in hindsight, I should have just bought it. because it wasn't that like I can't just buy it. I'm just trying to be like smart and be like, oh yeah, I just got some other, but let me just trade you. Let me just trade you value and I'll give you cash on so whatever. And he's like, yeah, totally, bro. He's like, put a list together. It's like, great. Put a list together. 20 minutes later, sent it to him. And he's like, dude, someone bought the book. And as soon as someone bought the book, I was so sad. I was like, damn it, I should have just bought it. I should have just bought it. This is the sickest Batman cover there is. Some people, well, okay, let me back up, swag. Hold on. Don't get clipped. Okay, guys, I know Tech 31 is the sickest Batman cover, but this one is awesome too, though, because he's like swinging through the fence. You got the moon, you got the skull, you got the evil professor right there. Second Batman cover, so sick. Now, kind of crazy that this is a 7.0 and you can have a chip like that up there. Kind of crazy, but it's Golden Age, guys. Okay, you know, Golden Age gets the Golden Age treatment in terms of their grading standards. Don't blame me. Those are the standards. I don't know if you could get a 7.0 with a chip like that on a Bronze Age book, but for Golden Age, the argument is that the book is bigger, so technically there's more surface area to be had, thus more damage is tolerated. 231, 800. I don't even need to look this up. Okay, I'm going to look it up. Pull it up. 29. Detective 29. Come on, go collect. Can't you just like auto understand what I'm searching for? There it is. Tech 27. 7.0 copy. Yeah. We break in records here, boys. That's what we do. We break records. 83,000 all the way back in 2010. Let's go to recent comps here, recent sales. You know, I want to get a sense of what's going on in the comic market. Okay, so 6.5 sold for 120. So 7.0, quite a lot more. Although when you get to the 7.0 grade breaking point, it's a significant breaking point. Like 6.5 to 7.0 jump often is a big jump. All right, 8.5 in 2022 for 276. So there you guys have it. This is a really, really strong sale for this one. But you know, here's the thing about these books is that the reason why these books do so well is because they're hardcore collectors' favorite types of collectible comics. Like the Batman ones, the Superman ones, the action ones, with all due respect, those are for the rich tourists. Those are for the people that love comic books, have a lot of money, and they're like, what's the best comic book? And someone says, action number 1. And they say, I'll have that. You know what I mean? That's that clientele. The people who buy the Tech 29s and stuff like that are the ones who've been collecting for years and years and years and years. And their palate needs to be, you know, satiated with more like interesting, obscure, insidery type of comic books. So when they have money to spend, they put it on those ones, the Tech 29s, the Suspense 3s, the Tech 31s, like the more like higher insider knowledge and taste making of comic book collectibles. Superman 1, that's boring. It's boring to people who have been in comic books for a long time. So that's kind of the my thought process. By the way, guys, everything I say, I just make up. I have no data to support this. I just make this up. But also I'm right. I'm just kind of right. Like I just know it. Like it's a muscle. It's a muscle that you have worked out. I've worked out for myself. Okay. Intuition. All right. Tech 31 sold for $134,000 in a 3.0. The book is definitely getting out of hand for anyone that wants it, even at the low grade. Let's take a look of the 3.0 here, kind of see what that has been going for. I'm sure that this is a great sale for it. So we have 134, a 4.0, 174, a 5.0, 174, the 2.5, 90,000, 66. So it kind of feels like this 4.0 sale, which was really solid at 174, probably repriced this 3.0 sale because the 2.0 or the 2.5 earlier that year was 90. So it kind of feels like this is sort of right, you know, kind of in line to the recent big sales that this thing has been getting. All right. Izzy says, are you watching for yourself? I am watching for myself. Yes. But I am, listen. Are you going to make me say it? Are you going to make me say it? I'm more of a session 2/session 3 type of buyer. If that. You know what I mean? I'm not a session 1 guy, guys. I'm not a session 1 guy. I could be, but I'd rather buy Nvidia or Bitcoin. Okay, let's jump forward here to Superman number 1. This is very interesting to me. This seems really good. And this feels like a sale that has been a fallout and benefited from the sale of the $9 million copy, because 6.5 jumping into the 7-figure price range is definitely a testament to the perception of this status of book. So if we go over here to the Superman number 1, we can actually see that the 6.5 recent sale, non-existent, but let me just actually do that again. The 7.5 had sales of 2.6, 1.6, and then 2.3. And the 6.0 prior to that didn't also have a sale. Swag, you're not making a very good point right here. Okay, viewer, you know what? Just relax. Okay, the point I'm trying to make here is that we have a new grade tier that has now crossed the 7-figure threshold. That's the point I'm trying to make. So now if you have a 6.5, you have a 7-figure book. 5.0, not yet. I think I was doing the calculations of, the books and just kind of looking at it and trying to say like, yeah, I felt like the 6.5 probably would sell around the 8 to 900, or on the higher end, 1.2 to 1.3 million. And that was going to be a big determination of like how comic books had performed, especially relative to the recent sales that we've got. And it looks like they performed pretty well. So that's pretty good to see that if you are somebody who is rooting for the high end to do very, very well. Okay, guys, we got to talk about something here. We got to talk about something here. Are we talking about this? Are we talking about this? Do I do it? Do I talk about this? I know someone in the chat right now is like, don't talk about it. But I think we got to talk about it. It's not like anyone is watching right now, right? It's not like anyone is watching right now. Let's talk about it. This is pretty crazy to me. Hold on a second, boys. Hold on a second, guys. Hold on a second. Wait a minute. Guys, this is crazy. Okay. Superman 1 in a 1.0. Granted, spine of cover completely split, cover and centerfold reattached with tape, but Blue Label 1.0. Granted, it's got some stains. It's got this big chip in the upper right corner. $88,000 seems like a good deal for the buyer, considering just last night, guys, Golden Auctions, Superman 1, PSA 1, $176,000. What? What? By the way, not wearing shoes, confirmed. Wearing pants, also confirmed. Isn't that crazy? Isn't that wild? $176,000 for Superman 1 in a PSA slab $88,000 for the Superman one in the CGC slab. Did we just confirm PSA greater than CGC? Did that just happen? All the CGC people are like, well, no, I mean, because like look at the book, because that would have blah, blah, yeah. That's what they're saying right now. Look, but the PSA book, it's so much better. It's so much better. PSA, little bit of sidebar. This looks horrible. This case looks horrible like that. Like the bigger case where it's floating. Like I don't like that at all. This is like some like Jinko jeans level of bagginess on my slab. This is the Jenko jeans version of a comic book slab. Like, what is that? We got to tighten that up. Okay. I don't like that. All right, Swag, let's get back to the thing. Pop 2, guys. Pop 2. That's right. Pop 2. That's why this one sold for more. It all makes sense now. It all makes sense now. Oh, man. Oh, man. Isn't that interesting? Isn't that interesting? Well, I'm just going to cryptically say that there might be more to that story. There might be more to that story, which one day we might tell. On the Ungraded Truth YouTube channel, guys, link in the description. Be sure to like and subscribe. Follow the Ungraded Truth YouTube channel. And even better yet, hop on over to the description here. Jump on over to the Spotify link and hook it up. Give it the 5-star review. I mean, why not? Why not? Well, maybe because you don't like the show and you don't believe it's a 5-star show. I understand that. But dude, come on. Come on. Anyways, let's get back into it. We're going to talk about that some other time. Very interesting, guys. Very, very interesting. Swag, focus up. Let's get back into the auction. Guys, we're going to be here a while, okay? Okay, we're going to be here a while. Let me see here. So we have the Tech 29. We have the Tech 31. Let's take a look at Marvel Silver Age. This is the comics right now that I'm actually the most concerned with this one. I'm the most concerned with this one. Hear me out. Here's my thesis. And you guys tell me if I'm right or wrong on this one. Okay, here's my thesis. Golden Age, doing great because there's obviously less books on the census. So you don't have to worry about being undercut. Undercut. The thing about it, though, is that it's a little more less liquid for the Golden Age books, right? But that's also a benefit because it's harder to sell. Oftentimes you have to auction them, really, if you want to get your money. But that kind of protects the floor value. Modern comic books also have been doing very good because of the fact that insight in mind, the young audience is getting into modern comic books. A lot of modern comic books are not necessarily Marvel and DC. They're like more independent properties, like your Invincibles or your Walking Deads or your Dorks, things like that. And there's people that are fans of those properties. So those comic books have those fans' attention rather than, the Marvel universe or the DC universe. Copper Age still has huge demand, big demand for Copper Age because of the fact that everybody grew up knowing about it. That's the biggest time of comic books in terms of the pop cultural awareness. I mean, everybody here in the chat, if we're all around the same age, like we're all Copper Age babies in a lot of ways. I mean, I know some of you guys are Gen X and maybe even older, but like even you guys were like in the Copper Age system. Like we all bought Death of Superman, So Copper Age always is going to have a nostalgia play, even if there's always going to be, ups and downs and stuff in the market. Bronze Age also has the biggest comic book collecting base because of the fact that was a time when comic books were actually read, where people were actually into the stories. And What's interesting about the Bronze Age is that there's the chase because people want the 9.8 Hulk 181. People want the 9.8 Giant Size X-Men #1. Those types of comic books. Even though those comic books are printed to the millions or whatever it is, and it's not safe to invest in them, they're just still really popular, and people love the chase of the 9.8s. Silver Age, I don't know, guys. I mean, Silver Age is classic because it's classic. It's what started the Marvel Universe. But I just feel like people don't think that they're that cool anymore. And I want to bring this up. I'm going to do an update on my comic index video soon. But look at the last 6 months of performance on GOCOLLECT here. Last 6 months, Golden Age up by 0.85%. Let me do this a different way. Modern Age up by 2.69%. 2.69, the highest. Copper Age up by 0.61. Bronze Age down by 1.58. Silver Age down by 3.05. Golden Age up 0.85. Silver Age has performed the worst over the last 6 months. If you go to the last 3 months, Golden Age is green, Bronze Age is green, Copper Age is green, and Modern Age is green. You know what's still red? Silver Age. Last month, Golden Age green, Bronze Age green, Copper Age red, but 0.12. Modern Age green, Silver Age red. Silver Age getting crushed. I think it could be due to the fact that, Silver Age got way too inflated. Silver Age got the MCU inflate. And so all of the values are just so over maybe what they should have ever been. And that could be one of the reasons, why it still is performing maybe the worst out of all the indices. But my theory remains that I think that there is a logical market to graded versions of all of these comic books. Because I actually just think grading is for two things. I think grading is for Golden Age and 9.8s. Yeah. Golden Age and 9.8s. That's what I think grading is for. And sometimes a Silver Age book that is, an AF-15 or, FF1, things like that. But you know what I mean? So I just think that Silver Age, it's interesting. It's interesting. It's going to have a tough time. It's going to have a tough time with a lot of this. Swag, you're not talking about the auction. You're right, viewer. 7.5 FF1 selling for $76,000. Let's take a look here. 2024, 78,000. 2025, 78,000. So in line. I think this is in line. And probably still room to maybe hemorrhage. Although, we had a 2020 $69,000 sale, giggity. So we're probably okay there. We're probably okay. We're going to talk about something in a second here. So this is interesting. Hulk 192, $732,000. That's a beautiful copy of Hulk #1. Let's take a look here at this book. Is this the highest graded? No. Okay, so second highest graded, there is 194. I thought that we had a 9.2 sale recently. We did have 9.2 sale. Is this the same book? Wow, wait a minute. 462 163 6003. No, not the same book. Is this the same book? No, not the same book. Is this the same book? No, not the same book. Okay, a new book. New book hitting the market. There's 8 copies out there, I guess. Okay, so 2024, 825. 2025, 780. Now, 732. So, still huge number, but a little softer than the prior 2 sales. But this is kind of in line with what we talked about with Wonder Woman, where there's just been too many. that have sold in recent years. Like a book like this, it shouldn't even be possible, right? It's like, how is it possible that there's 8 copies and 2 of them have sold this year and 1 of them sold last year? Like, that shouldn't be done in theory, right? Too many paper-handed individuals in the comic book market. Y'all are selling all your comic books so you can be buying up one-piece cards. I don't blame you, but what are you doing? What are you doing? Okay, this is interesting. We're going to talk about Hulk 181 in a second, but we got to check in with the chat. Let's check in with the chat here. Swag has diamond encrusted Darkhawk. You damn right, MJ. You damn right. If Ozzy says, what's up, Ozzy? If sales from IG shows were drawn in these values, would be wild. What's interesting about that is, eBay Live has been having a very slow rollout, very slow. But there's been talks about, will eBay Live sales numbers get pulled into searchable functionality to where you could find out what the books are selling for on eBay Live? And if so facto, would then those sales be able to be scraped into the GOCOLLECTs, the GPAs, and the cover prices of the world? That would be really interesting to see that. Could that happen? Now, you would think that that would mean that all the books would tank, and probably a lot of them would, but there could also be a lot of books that outperform because of that. Because how many stories have you guys heard about, like, oh, like I sell my, Jim Lee X-Men #1 for $50 all the time. And it's like, it's true. Like, people do get like insane numbers for like some of these books that you can find in dollar bins, and I think that that's the salesness of it. And that's like the arbitrage and like the asymmetric, aspect to it all. So there could be some like insane data that comes of that, but I'd love to see it. I would love to see that, because to me, more info is better. More data is better. Transparency, let it all out. Whatever a book sells for, $1 start, that's the value. I like that personally. Not a lot of people agree with me on that, and I understand why, because they are comic book sellers, but I like that. I definitely think that that would just be better for everyone involved, Let's see what you guys are saying. What you guys saying here? Mighty says, what about high dollar value book? I think I answered that because I was saying, like, yeah, sometimes Silver Age, you got to get those things slapped, if that's what that was in reference to. Stir says, the 7.5 Captain America Comic 74 is my book that I consigned. What do you think it will sell for? Hold on, guys. Hold on. We got a live one here. We got a live one. Where is that one? Is that in the next session? Oh, it's coming up. It's coming up. Guys, listen. I know times are tough. Okay. I know comic books should only be used for discretionary purchases. But let me tell you something. You guys need a Cap 74 in your life. Look at this book. It's the best of what the Golden Age has to offer. On the one hand, you have the historic World War II aspect in Captain America, but it's the beautiful point of transitioning into the 50s, where we had the explosion of PCH comic books, where, Timely was trying new things and making Red Skull a monster character. One of the most beautiful, epic, awesome covers there is. What value can you put on this book? Honestly, you can't put a value on a book. Whatever the going rate is, I would triple it. If you're somebody who is not thinking of bidding on this book, you should absolutely bid on this book. Okay, wait. You guys, I'm like partially joking, but also bid on this book. Not financial advice. Beautiful book right here. I would love a copy of this one day. It is definitely on my list. 7.5, real nice reds on this one. Couple spine ticks over here. You got the little pen mark there on the L. a little bit of a, stain right there, or color rub, I should say. But yeah, nice copy. Really nice reds. I think that's the thing that really stands out about this book. The color is very nice. I like. So currently sitting at $23,000. That seems very low to me because I feel like the buy-in for this book, which is something I've been keenly aware of, at the low grade, I think is still five figures. Like I think, even like 1.5s and 2.0s and things like that are still like $10,000. So the fact that you're going up to a 7.5 here and you're only at 23,000 seems like this one's sitting pretty low, and she get a lot more bids for our friend Stirs in the chat. So shout out to him. I don't know what's going to go for it, but when it comes around, we will pull it up and we will definitely talk about it once it rolls back around. Okay. What, I thought you were a financial advisor. Bro. Have you seen some of my SaaS investments? I mean, guys, are you guys paying attention to AI at all? I have been on an open claw rabbit hole. Okay. I am heavily invested in getting my AI agents to take over for me. Okay. We're going to have a YouTube channel. SwagOut's going to be run by OpenClaw very soon. Okay. And then I want to train an AI agent. Wait a minute. Oh, dude. This is brilliant. You know what okay. We need to make an AI agent with OpenClaw that can be our color commentator on streams like this. Like, because I can't be like looking up all the numbers, like constantly, whatever. I just want to have my AI agent floating on the screen. And then I go like, hey, Jarvis, what's the value of the Captain America 74 and 75? And then it'll just be like zipping around on the internet and like pulling up all the numbers. Is this open? Is this beyond some of you guys? Are you guys like, what are you talking about? Like, you guys see the YouTube rabbit holes that I've been going on. So yeah, no, you're right. I'm being very, jokey, facetious. I don't actually really want to go all in on OpenClaw yet for the exact reason you're talking about. I've been poking around, looking at it, but I haven't given it access to my stuff yet because, like, dude, we don't need the freaking ChatGPT knowing all my like credit card info and all that. All right. What are we at here? Okay, we're coming around to Captain America. Let's talk about this for a second, guys. Let's talk about this one. Let's talk about the greatest comic in all the world. Your favorite comic book's favorite comic book. Suspense Comics #3. What many believe to be the greatest Alex Schomburg cover in the universe. 5.0 copy, selling for $195,000. What an awesome book. I love this thing. It is so cool. I love the colors. I love the blocking, the poses. I love the mystery aspect. I love the culty, Nazi kind of era, all the occult aspects to that time period. So cool to see that. Don't clip that. I'm not saying that I like it and I support it, guys. I'm saying that it's interesting that they went down that path and then the good guys had to take them out because they were like exploring that stuff. Okay, don't get it twisted. But this is an awesome book. All right, let's take a look here. Suspense Comics. You know what's funny about that? You know how there are those people out there that are like, the Hitler comic book collectors. Also, YouTube, I'm using these terms. Like, please don't strike me for this. Like, don't do the whole thing. But you know how there's the people that collect those types of covers? I always just wonder, like, are there people that like go over to your comic book collection and it's like, oh yeah, check out my like World War II collection, and then they just look at all the stuff and they're just like, oh, 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 I see you like to collect a lot of that stuff. Anyways, I'm going to be going now. All right, 5.0 sold back in 2020. We got to do it like this in order to kind of see how the prices have been changing. So the 4.0, 156. This one, 195. Seems like very strong, very good, very strong. We like it. It's really all you can compare to is the 4.0 copy. So yeah, I actually think that's well, I don't know. What do you guys think? Is this a nicer copy? I think the 5.0 is definitely nicer looking. Cream pages though. And you got that little tape pull right there in the suspense. Have you guys ever caused a tape pull? I caused a tape pull one time. I felt so stupid. I felt so dumb. I am definitely responsible for one comic book out there that has a tape pull on it. I can't remember the issue off the top of my head. It's the Silver Age book that has Thor and Magneto on the cover, where like Magneto's controlling Mjolnir. It's a Journey into Mystery. Yeah, I caused a tape pull on that one. Not my best work. Not my best work. So, anyways, that's Suspense 3. Let's check in with the auction here. Where are we at? Okay. We got X-Men #1, a 9.0 for 88,000. That doesn't seem very expensive. But X-Men #1 has a lot of copies out there. X-Men #1 in a 9.0 copy. So yeah, 93,000 on Heritage just the other month, back in November. This one, 88,000. So, I mean, it's not like so much lower. It's probably like one bid lower, but kind of looking at this graph, I mean, it might have a little more to go if we're being really honest. This might be more in the $82,000 range. Because, yeah, a lot of them going up for sale. 100, 100, 100. I mean, look at that. That's a lot. It's a lot of these books coming to market. 9.0s have 36. I don't know, guys. I still love X-Men 1. I think that this is such a great comic. I love this one. So sick. But there's just a lot of them. There's a lot of them out there. It's one of the more populated Silver Age grails in terms of its census count. There's a lot of them. There's a lot of those copies. Similar, Daredevil 1 is another similar one where it's like there's a lot of copies out there. All right, we got Action Comics. We got these guys. We got these guys. We had another All-Star 8, 42,000. That seems cheap. That seems real cheap. Wonder Woman got a big inflate for the Wonder Woman films. Some people like to always tell me that like the DC stuff didn't get inflated by movies like the Marvel stuff did. And I go, have you seen the Wonder Woman sales? That's not true. That's not true. Yeah. Look at this book. 67,000 back in 2016. In 2017, it was 54.52, 45.38 in 2020, 39, 50, 93,000, 56. What do we say? 42. That's crazy. Can you imagine buying this book back in 2016 for $67,000? Back in 2016. And here we are 10 years later. And you're down $20,000. Comic books only go up, boys. Comic books only go up. Bye, 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 bye. That guy got a great deal. That's how we should say. That person got a great deal. All top, all winners. Everybody in the chat's a winner. Great. Batman 11 right there. 6.5. This cover is always tough. It's always a little bit grimy, I've been kind of looking at this one. Oh, we're going on the Captain America stuff right here. Really cool pedigree copy. We got these guys. One of my all-time favorite Captain America comics right here, 37. I have one. It's low grade. It's no 7.0. It's not autographed. I also didn't pay $25,000 for it. All right, let's take a look at the Weird Tales. Let's set ourselves up here. Weird Tales 73. Oh, hold on. Hold on. Hold on. 73. Come on. Captain America 73. Swag. Not weird tales. Get it right. Or maybe not. What is this? What is this search right here? Some, you guys ever do this trick? You go in here and you like click on Captain America, and then you got to look at like the whole search. And it's like, okay, okay, okay. Oh, let's go, let's go. Wait, there it is. Captain America Comics 74. So if I type Captain America 74, it doesn't pull up. I love Go Collect. It's just I'm being funny. I'm being funny here. All right. 7.5. Holy wait, dude, your copy is in the top 4 on the census. This is a no joke copy. This is like one of the best copies on the market. Currently sitting at 23. Guys, what are we talking about here? If you're a bidder, I mean, look at this. This thing sold for 27 back in 2019. Y'all got to get in on this. 80 going for 43, 92 going for 204. What does the 70 get? 70, okay, that's not helpful. It's a long time ago. 65, what does the 65 get? 13. I want to know a 2020 number. Yeah, look at this. A 60 copy, 20,000, 60, 17.5 in 2024. You're already at a 7.5 right here, guys. If you're in the chat, you're watching, this could be an opportunity. I'm just saying, this could be a big opportunity for a great book. 7.5, beautiful copy, classic Red Skull cover, turning of the World War II propaganda era into the PCH era. Lots of history with this one. One of the great Captain America comic books. And sitting right now at a good deal. I'm not saying you should buy it, but I'm saying if the person who owns the book is selling it is in my chat, that person is awesome. That's what I'm saying. So we got to support him. We got to support him, much like we got to support anyone who's got books in this auction right now. If you got books in this auction right now, you let me know. You let me know. We're going to go full pumper on it. Okay, we're going to go full big pump, even if nobody buys it. All right, we are up to $24,000 out of the gates. Here we go for the auction. Tell me about this Weird Tales number 74. What happened to my screen? We are lagged out. There we go, guys. Do I hear 20,000? There it is. Another bid. Let's go. Let's go, boys. Pump it up. Pump it up. Take my energy. We got a good vibes it. See, even if we're not pumping it up, we just got to put the good vibes out there. We got to put the good vibes out there. 26,000. Still a good steal. There we go. Another bid. Smart bid right there. Let's get it over 30. What's the difference between 29 to 30? What's really the difference? You might as well go 30. Come on, 24,000. What's an extra at this point for this book? Top 4 in the world. One of the best copies known to be in existence. You never know when this is going to sell again. There it is. There it is. It's very smart. Get a bid. There we go. 30,000. Now we're playing. Now we're in it, boys. Now we are in it. Come on. Let's get another bid in here, guys. Let's get another bid in here. I don't know if anyone is actually watching it. Well, actually, this is not true. I actually do know that we've had these streams before, and there are people who are definitely buying this stuff, watching the stream. So there we have it, boys. $29,280. Very, very impressive. I want to say congratulations to Stride in the chat. I'm sorry, I forgot the name. But congratulations to this book. Why are you trying to pump this up so much? Because Stirs, it's his book. I'm rooting for him. And I'm also not pumping it up. I hope you guys know that I am like always being facetious. Like all the time. Like you guys, everybody thinks like I'm like pumping this stuff up. It's like, guys, we're just having fun here. Okay. The book is gonna sell for whatever the book sells for. Okay. I have some voice, but like let's not pretend like everyone who's bidding on this book is like, well, let me hear what Swag has to say. You know, it's just I wish it worked like that. It doesn't. It doesn't though. It doesn't. Anyways, congratulations. 29,280. He said he'll take it. Should be happy with that. New record for that booking grade. And a great book going to a new home. All right, guys. What else should we talk about here? We've been yeah, yeah. Swag's Gen Alpha name is Uncle Pump. Unk. I'm Unk now. Let's talk about this for a second. Let's dive into this, okay? I don't know where you guys go to your local LCS. I'm in Southern California. So there's a lot of comic book shops around me. I'm telling you, I feel like I'm the old guy in the shop. Like genuinely, like every time I go into my comic book stores, I'm the oldest guy there. I'm getting insecure about it, to be honest. Like, what's crazy to me is, I make the videos and I look at myself on camera. I'm like, I see myself getting older. It's really weird. It's weird. I'm like, oh, I don't like that. Like if I compare myself to like old videos and I'm like, guys, I've aged in these last 5.5 to 6 years. But back to the point, yeah, there's a lot of younger kids in comic book stores these days. I'm seeing it personally, anecdotal. I don't know. Maybe it's true, maybe it's not. But definitely the 20-year-olds and 30-year-olds, I see a lot more of them in the store. In fact, I would actually argue that that's the majority of the age range of people I see in stores these days, because a lot of them are reading. This is why the modern market is popping off so much. Like Absolute Batman 1 definitely brought in a lot of the young audience. This is why Dork is doing well. These are why these new titles are being speculated on and picked up and bought and all that stuff. I mean, it's probably the same group of flippers that are like heavily involved in this, but I do think that there is a new demographic of Gen Z kids that are getting into this stuff. And again, like we're on YouTube. I personally prefer this platform when it comes to like the content I personally consume and the things that I watch. I like longer form stuff. I like listening to podcasts. I like watching longer streams and shows and things like that. But the younger audience, they're all over TikTok. They're all over Instagram Reels and things of that nature. And if you go onto comic book TikTok, it's a lot of people in that demographic. There's a lot of comic book influencers or content creators or whatever you want to call them that are on TikTok right now that are making tons and tons of content around new comic book collecting, buying stuff, blah, blah, blah. They're not in here. They're not, there's no TikTokers talking about heritage auctions yet. Maybe we will get there at some point. But as far as it comes to like the new comic market, yeah, there's a lot of them talking about that stuff. And that's really why I think we're seeing a lot of that activity in the modern comic market. I mean, it's a huge portion of the demographic. And it's kind of working a little bit in the inverse right now too, where like, as we kind of continue on in this social media digital age, and there's a lot of people that, are going to be exploring like AI and all this stuff. When these things happen, there's also like a kind of a reverse effect where when you get so much digital experience, people are yearning actually for like an analog kind of way to express their social provocations as well. So there's a lot of people that are really getting into comic books because they find it to be a hobby where it's like, hey, this is something that's like cool. It like scratches my like nerd pop culture itch, but I get to like go outside, go to a third space. Is that what it's called? Third spaces, a comic book store. I get to see other people, interact, talk, go to a comic book con. And those experiences are becoming really, really, really popular amongst the younger demographic, even though those people are also very into online stuff. So they're kind of getting both of it. And so I actually think it's kind of a good thing. I think that there's ironically a little bit of a renaissance in collectibles, mostly due to the fact that they are physical. a lot of the speculation was like, oh, just imagine what's going to happen to all these collectibles. They're all going to go away because we're going to all be living in our metaverse. But the truth is that the more we go into the metaverse, the more we yearn for the alternative experience. And a lot of that is in having a tactile thing that we like to hold and collect. And so those types of things. So yeah, there's a lot of that interesting stuff going on with it. Anyways, all that to say, I'm freaking old. It's my birthday this weekend, guys. Saturday is my birthday. Fuck. I usually do I had been doing like birthday videos on my channel. I've done like 2 in a row. I think the last 2 years. I always find them like it's a good time. It's a good a chance to like go into the YouTube demographics and like hold up a mirror to like, I see you guys. I see who's watching me. All right, and I'm one of the young ones. When it comes to my birthday, I'm actually on the younger side of this. So I think it's funny. But yeah, it's crazy. All right, let's see what y'all are saying here. I am younger in my 20s. Oh, hey, thanks for stopping by. We got the young ones in the chat. I got back into comics from Marvel Rivals. There it is. I called that, by the way. I need to take more victory laps here, guys. Listen, I just, everything I say, I just make up. But everything I say is right. I just get it. Let me just tell you, let me explain. It was interesting because I had a dinner the other night with this like film group that I'm involved with, and people were just sort of asking about my like career and my journey and things that I've done. And if you guys don't know, like I started my career in music videos. I did tons and tons of music videos for many, many, many years. And in music video, this was like when I was getting into it, this was like at the time in which YouTube and digital media really started to kind of explode. And being that music is a very like young cultural entity already, like I was kind of in that space, and this was right at the time like that digital media was exploding, and I really conditioned myself to like have this I'll call it like a sixth sense as to like what is happening culturally, like within internet, and how that kind of is informing like social behavior and culture and pop culture. And it's just something that is like very intuitive to me. So I don't always get it right, but like I can definitely always feel certain things on the internet of like, oh, okay, this is interesting. Like, oh, Marvel Rivals, this is all of a sudden very exciting. Okay, like I wonder if this is going to connect to this and blah blah blah. And so, anyways, that's why I feel like a lot of the times I like point out stuff and I'm just like, guys, this is something we should look at because I can feel it. I've just trained my muscles to be that way. Anyways, I'm not going to take too much of a victory lap. I just wanted to share that. It's a little something about me, okay? Like sometimes I can say that like I know some things. I try not to be like an authoritative voice when I talk about comic books. I'm not going to sit up here and pretend like I know what comic books are going to sell for and all this stuff, but I know some things, okay? And I can be authority about those. Swag, can you look at the Marvel Mystery Comics #9? Yeah, I'll take a look at that when we get there. Yearning for Analog is Mickey's Streetwear's company's name. Dude, we need to make more merch, guys. We need to get merch, on the channel. We got to make some Ungraded Truth merch. For sure. Ungraded Truth merch. Swag Haas is a Gen Z influencer. Unfortunately, I don't think that's the case. There's one thing that I think is very true is that people like to watch generally people within their own age range. This is just, I think, like obviously true. It's like you want to hang out with people kind of like that are in your wheelhouse. So I think Gen Z will always want to watch someone who is, if not their age, maybe only slightly older. I think I'm too old for a lot of them. Shout out to Hurt in here with $5. Hey, Swag, what's the starting bid got to be for you to pull that Chamber of Chills 19 off that wall and a Swagatage auction that off right now? I don't know. Starting bid? I mean, I feel like I would be a hypocrite if I didn't $1 start. I always say like $1 start or bust. So I would go $1 start. Chamber 19? I don't have a Chamber 19. Did you mean Chamber 21? The Chamber of Chills I have is 21. I do want a Chamber 19 though. There have been a couple times where I almost bought it, but then it didn't work out, and then like I'm like, I don't know. But I should get a Chamber 19 at some point. And you know what's hard is the Chamber 19 is there's actually a decent amount of them. And they've really exploded quite a lot recently. So I'm kind of like, if I put a certain amount of money into a book, I want to know that either I'm buying it for like such a good deal that it's just like impossible for me to lose out on it, or I want to get something that is like so I control the market so much that like no one's going to undercut me. There's not enough copies out there for that to ever happen. But so that's kind of one of my reasons why I haven't jumped into the 19 yet, because I'm a little bit like, I don't know. I don't know if it's the right time for it. So no, that's kind of what I sorry. Had to check a phone. All right. Hurton here with the $1. Appreciate you, Hurton. Appreciate that. Starting bid 69,420. Hell yeah. Giggity. Giggity. All right. Let's take a look here. Some other cool books going up for sale. We got the first appearance of the Crypt Keeper. That going for 12,000 in a 6.0. That seems kind of cheap to me, to be honest. Yeah, that seems pretty low to me. Crime Suspense 22 in a 7.5, going for 23,000. That's pretty good. What else we got? First Robin? No. First Clayface, excuse me. First Robin is this one, of course. 16,000. Apparent. That still feels like a decent buy-in. We got the first Riddler. This is a book that, man, oh man, this one has really, really come back down from the heights in which it was getting at the height of the Batman movie, when everyone knew that the Riddler was going to be in it. Or I shouldn't say that it's come back down. I should say that perhaps the comic book sold for well above what it should have, because I do believe the pedigree copy is the one that came out at the perfect time with that movie, Detective 140. Let's take a look here and see what this book got. Tech 140, I think it was the 9.6 pedigree. Yeah, it's the 9.6 pedigree, went for 456, and then someone put it up for sale just 2 years later and went all the way back down to 360. So that was a pretty big haircut for the top of census of that book. What did this one go for? 7.5 and 5.0. 7.5, 31, 29. So kind of right in line, a little bit softer. But again, it's like, because every time a book goes up for sale again within, say, a year or two, well, you've just taken out one buyer who was in the market, who is now not in the market anymore. So that's kind of a thing. 501 for 12,000, 501 for 11.5. So again, another indication. Yeah, a little bit of a haircut on each front, but I think that has to do with the fact that, they're going up for sale. So that's one of the reasons it happened. All right, let's take a look here what everyone is saying. Chamber 19 or 250 10 years ago. I just can't. Yeah, they did also inflate quite a lot. Swag, are you NWO for life? For life. I'm going to be honest, I was more of a WWF fan at the time. When the Monday Night Wars were going down, I was all in on WWF. I never liked WCW that much. I mean, I thought it was pretty cool for a bit. Like, I got back into wrestling like 97. So like I rode the Attitude Era wave completely. But like, let's see, I fell out of wrestling in like 93. Like right around when like Yokozuna won the belts, and then like Hogan got in, Undertaker. I remember those were like the last couple things that I saw in 94, 95, 96. I didn't watch it all, barely paid attention. Like every now and again through like osmosis, you would kind of feel like oh, okay, I guess Shawn Michaels is the champion now. Like I kind of like would hear that stuff. And then I was like always thinking like, where's Hulk Hogan? Like, where are these guys? And then eventually I caught wind of NWO 97. So I like that kind of probably started to bring me back in. And then I was watching that and then I would jump back and forth between WWF and WCW. And WWF was always so much better to me, like the product, just everything about it, like the presentation, like the look, like the way that the entrances would be, the talent at the time. I just thought it was better. Although WCW to me definitely was like, oh, dude, like it has all the guys that I know. So I don't know. What's your next Magic purchase? Oh, well, definitely going to be the collector boosters for the next set, the superhero set. But I'm also always looking at the alpha cards. I have like a couple of them, like the Force of Nature. I would like to get, I mean, a Black Lotus would be sick to pick up, but probably not going to get that in alpha. All the Moxes I would totally pick up. Um, but you know, you got to pick and choose, right? Because it's like you can have, um, I can go down that path, but then it's like there's a lot of comic books I still want to own. So this is like always the thing. It's like with hobby is like, yeah, it'd be cool to own certain expensive sports cards, or it'd be cool to own even a Pokemon card. I think certain, you know, base set Pokemons are cool. I would want to own like a Blastoise or a Pikachu or something like that. But I'm like, why am I going to spend money here? Like I already, you know, have other things I want to pick up. The only thing that's actually getting my attention beyond comic books is original art. That's really where a lot of my other hobby money is going. All right, we got Marvel Comics here. We got Mask Comics #2. We got Pep Comics. Guys, I'm gonna be honest. We got a long way to go still. We got holy moly. We got so many books here. What do we get? Malibu's all the way over here. All right, let's talk a little bit about the Malibu for a second. Let's talk about this book. Let's talk about what could be the greatest Spawn book in the history of the world. The Malibu Sun 13, otherwise known as arguably the first real appearance of Spawn, the first cover appearance of Spawn, the highest graded version of this already tough to find and high grade copy. Obviously owned by friend of the channel and Ungraded Truth host, the 99 Newsstand. So while I talk about this book, I recognize that this is my friend and my co-host. So I will not oversell it. But what I will say is, if you do not put up $1 billion for this book, you will regret it. You will spontaneously combust. The comic book collecting police will come to your door and seize all of your books if you do not bid on this one. This is the creme de la creme. The cream rises to the top. Oh, yeah. This is the pinnacle when it comes to Spawn collecting. You cannot be at the top of the Spawn comic book mountain unless you are an owner of this book. Are you really even a Spawn fan? This is the greatest book in all the world. If I zoom in on this book, I could cut into steel with those corners. I would be able to do arts and crafts using this book as an X-Acto knife with how sharp those edges are. I have personally inspected this book. Even the staple placement has that nice, beautiful indentation, the subtle inward motion where you could see the force that was created when this book was put together. Perfectly symmetrical. Each iota of this book with perfect cyan pigmentation along the edge as we go around what will be someone's destiny to own the greatest creation that ever was, from what many might say is the greatest creator to ever be within the comic book market. That is, of course, Todd McFarlane's magnum opus, the character known as Spawn. The reason we are all here, the reason we collect comics might just be due to the fact that we are all image babies. And this could be your destiny. This could be your crown jewel in your collection. It's going to go to somebody. It's going to go to somebody. Perhaps that somebody might be you. Bill says, absolutely no hyperbole in Swag's words whatsoever. See, Bill gets it. Bill gets it. Wonton, I'm not so sure you get it. I mean, you say you get it, but I don't know if you get it. Guys, we're playing here. We're having fun. We're just having fun. Comic books are fun. I don't know if someone told you, but they're fun. Whoa, no way. My birthday is Sunday. I'm also older than Dirk. Hey, happy birthday to you, meme generator. Were you a March 1st baby? Were you a March 29th? I was not born in a leap year. You know, it's funny. I'm born on February 28th, and everyone will always say to me, they'll always be like, oh man, you were almost born in a leap year. And I'm like, well, not really. It wasn't a leap year on my birthday. So I just would have been a March 1st baby. So also, I was born in the morning. So it wasn't even close. Real McCoy Collector says, I agree. This is the Grails of Grail Spawn books to go put your bids in, guys, and good luck to everyone bidding on it. Yeah, here's the thing, guys. I'm just being a little playful with pumping up this book. At this point, it's going to sell for whatever it sells for. You know, like nothing I say here is going to affect what this book ends up hammer closing at. We're just having fun right now. We're just hanging out. We're watching comic books sell. We're talking about them. We're seeing what's going to happen. And again, whatever happens, happens with that book. You know, it's not like I'm doing a Logan Paul ringing a gong here. Okay. You know what I mean? All right. Let's take a look here, guys. Are there any other buyers in the chat? Anyone else buy some books, pick up some stuff? Gonna do some things? Can I have a second, guys? I gotta write an email. We've been streaming for an hour and 30 minutes. Writing an email. How's it going, guys? What else should we talk about? Does anyone have any questions? Izzy says, "Did you pay Mickey to overhype this book, lol?" I wish. Bro, if this book sells for like 100K, I'm gonna need like 5% of that. I'm gonna need like an agent fee on this one. At the very least, can you be an angel investor into the Ungraded Truth YouTube show or podcast? That would be helpful. No, again, guys, the book is going to sell for what it sells for. We're just making jokes here. Do, 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 do. Mr. Orange says, when is your next Kickstarter? I am targeting that by mid-summer slash Q3. That's kind of when it's going to hopefully go up. So thanks for asking about that. There are some plans, though. There are some plans. Best Doctor Doom books to pick up before December. Well, I don't know if we can guarantee any book that is going to pump as a result of Doctor Doom. I mean, the comic market has not worked like that in a long time, and I don't expect that to change anytime soon. I don't necessarily think that we're going to be able to see like, Fantastic Four 5 is all of a sudden going to double overnight when we get a Doomsday trailer drop. So it'll be tough to say that there are books to pick up before then. What I would just say is try to always buy Doom books for less than market. If you can hunt books in the wild and find them for really good deals, then you don't need to worry about these forces you can't control having the book go up in value. You can just already find a book that is being sold, say it's like $100 comic book being sold at $70. Well, you already have, 30% equity within it. That's really the best way to go about it. Now, if we're talking about what Doom books are good, I mean, Fantastic Four 5 is the first appearance of Doctor Doom. Obviously, is always going to be a great book. Avengers 25 is the first Avengers and Doom meetup. That's another great comic that I really love. Marvel Superheroes 20 is the first Doctor Doom kind of in title, which I think is a really, really great comic book. And then there's a lot of just Fantastic Four, early Silver Age Fantastic Four covers that are just awesome, Doctor Doom books, like his second appearance and his third appearance and other appearances that he has in that FF run. So I think all those ones will be really, really great. And then also, I think that there's going to be a lot of, some of those modern Doctor Doom books that get a little bit of a surge again. Like maybe you can find these in dollar bins, but like, what are all those comic books? And maybe the chat can help me out with this. Like the ones that are like, first Doom as like Iron Man Doom, first, the one where he's like looking at, it was like a what if book. He's looking at in the mirror and it's like Iron Man looking at himself as Doctor Doom. I think that a lot of those spec books are going to pop up again during that time. But I would highly recommend that you don't pay premiums on them. What I would just say is like, if you find them in dollar bins, I think that they'd be worth taking a flyer on. How much time do we have until the Malibu sun goes up? I wish I knew. Is the book value the sale price or the BP price? So the book's value includes the buyer's premium. What you have to do whenever you're buying from auctions is just ignore the number that the book, quote unquote, is at right now. So if we were somebody who was wanting to buy this Pep Comics 34, like we don't listen to the auctioneer who right now is asking, we need 7,000. We need 7,000 because the next bid, as you can see right here in this number, is 7,500. So he's saying, hey guys, we need 7,500, we need 7,500. But you need to ignore that. The only thing you need to look at is the with the buyer's premium number. This one right here, 9,150, because that's the number that you're going to pay. And that's also the number that will get recorded into GPA when the book is sold. I mean, not exactly that number because that's the next bid number. So, of course, the next actual number that it sells for is this 8,540. So that's the number with the buyer's premium. So, more specifically, to put a fine point on your question, is the book value the sale price or the buyer premium price? The book value is the buyer premium price. That's the one that people will say, this book on GPA sold for that price. So yeah, a lot of people, I see the chats where people always say like, oh man, I hate buying from auctions because you have these like buyer's premiums and you like have to do this and you like, you have to pay so much more. But then the reality is like, no, you don't. Just factor in the buyer's premium price. And if it goes above what you think it's worth, then don't bid on it. But more often than not, people are bidding comps based on the buyer's premium value. So anyways, hopefully that helps and that makes sense. All right. Let's kind of see, catching up with your comments here, catching up with your comments. FF 247, 247. Yes, that is the one. Izzy says, here's my bid for Malibu Sun or for Ungraded Truth PC, $2. Izzy, I appreciate that, man. Thank you so much. Not enough to bid on the Malibu Sun with that, but definitely appreciate it. Still, coffee fund. Appreciate the coffee fund. Jay Mills says, Swag, why not go to OAX this year? It was great. Yeah, I wanted to go to OAX, but it's a far trip for me to go all the way out to Orlando. And I went the other year and it's really fun. It's really awesome. But like, it's just, unless I'm going for like a reason to like work or like, do something. And I'm sure I would have like, worked and like made content and all that stuff. But like, I just didn't have like a super motivating reason to go to like expense it and do the whole thing. But I would have loved to go. It definitely sounded awesome. There is an art collector's art thing that is going on in what do we call in later this year in Las Vegas, and I would absolutely love to go to that. Ruben says, "What's the future of OA? Is it going to skyrocket?" Um, here's what I'll say. Always seems like it is definitely gaining ground, gaining steam. A lot of people within the comic book space, within the collectible world, have definitely moved into OA. At least anecdotally, but I feel like this is not untrue. I think that there's a lot of kind of we'll call it the COVID generation of collectors who got brought back into collectibles. I mean, I would lump myself into that camp. And those collectors have run across the entire gamut of comic books and trading cards and things of that nature. And those people have now been exposed to original art. And that's kind of brought in a lot of people into the original art space. We've seen a lot of record sales, big sales for comic book original art within the last couple of years. And I think that that has also garnered a lot of attention. So there's a lot more interest and curiosity into original art. And I also do think that going back to the conversation about experiential things being very important to comic book collectors, I do think that the cons, the sketch covers, getting commissions from your favorite artists, things of that nature have started to put people in the mindset of art and art collecting. And there's kind of a synergy there, where if you're somebody who is a big fan of Peach Momoko and you want to go to a Comic-Con and have her do a little remark for you and a sketch and get your CGC sign thing done with her name on it, well, all of a sudden now you're sort of like, oh, this is interesting. Oh, she's got her original art piece. Oh, it's going up for sale. Oh, wow. Like, can I afford this? And so you have these little aspects that are creating momentum within the art world and the art space. And so I do think that art is going to continue to grow as a market and will likely go up because of that fact. Now, the thing you have to consider is that comic books will always be more popular because we're talking about scraping a subset of a collector base into art. Like, not everyone who is into comic books is going to get into art. More broadly said, if you take the entire pie of the comic book market, how many of those people are just into collecting? Not necessarily most of them. I mean, most people who are into comic books, if we're taking like San Diego Comic-Con show floor as like, let's say that that's the pool of people that are into comic books. Well, a large majority of those people are just into the lifestyle of comic books. They kind of just like watching movies and like they like, cosplay and that sort of thing. They like their pop figuring and maybe they have a couple comics or they have a couple trades and they like to read those occasionally. Then you have the people who really like to read. They don't buy floppy issues. They buy omnibuses and all that stuff. And then you have the people who do buy floppy. So it's like slivers of a pie. Like, how many of those people do we want to get, or how many of those people within the pie are going to get into collecting? And then how many people of those collectors are going to get into high-end collecting? And then how many of those high-end collectors are going to get into original art? And then that's your pool. So I don't know. I think the answer shortly to your question is yes, I do think it's going to go up, but at the same time, it's going to take some time. OA is hot right now, but I have worries about the super fast rising prices that have been established over the last few years. Do you think we'll see a pullback? I do think that we will. I do think that we will because, like you said, once you get high sales, that pulls people's pieces out of their collections and pushes them back into the market. So in this auction alone, you have a lot of Todd McFarlane pieces. So there's probably a lot of people that were sitting on Todd McFarlane original art, seeing to themselves, hey man, these things are selling like crazy, and thinking, I got to capitalize on this. So the more options you have, the more supply that comes to market, the less value any one piece is going to be able to command, unless the demand is just that high, which is impossible to tell. But I do think that there will be a leveling off and a pullback, but that's not necessarily a bad thing over the longer term. Is gold the ultimate investment? Are we talking about golden age comic books or are we talking about gold, like gold bug golds? Well, if you're a gold buyer, you're looking pretty smart as of now. Nando says, I'm more on the side of sketch covers. It allows you to have one-of-one items that you design. Yeah. The cool thing about sketches and commissions and things like that is there's a experiential, did I say that right? An experiential value that is cooked into the process of getting that yourself. Like, you're not just buying the one-of-one sketch, you're buying also the interaction you have with that artist, the uniqueness that thing was made for you, the memory of it, the joy that you get to interact with that person whose work you like. So there's a value that is like not a monetary value that exists in that as well. Top 10 Batman books to invest in right now. Tech 27 times 10. Tech 27 times 10. I mean, there's a lot of Batman books. Absolute Batman #1. Just buy Absolute Batman #1, no matter the price. It always goes up. Damn that Scoop Comics 2 price. Let's take a look at Scoop Comics number 2. Oh, gee. This is a deep cut, guys. Scoop Comics. Is this Lou Fine cover? It looks like Lou Fine, but I don't think it is. Classic cover. Rocket Boy Begins. Are there Rocket Boy fans in the chat? $31,000 for Scoop Comics number 2. Let's take a look. Scoop Comics number 2. I was going to say, this is a deep cut. 20 universal copies on the census. This is genuinely a rare book by the definition of rarity, the textbook definition of rarity. What do we get here for that? So the 4.5 selling for $31,000 doesn't surprise me. You know, these are such deep cuts. I mean, look at this book. Has not sold since 2019. Oh, actually, I should correct that. Look at that. There's actually an eBay sale. 5,900 for a 1.5. That seemed like a good buy. I mean, really obscure market. Oh no, there's been multiple sales. Never mind. Scratch that. Okay, so you had a 5,900 at a 1.5, a 1.0 going for 6,600, $10,000 in a 1.0. Actually, so this book has actually been on the downward trajectory over the last few sales. 1.8, 13,002. So yeah, this has been on the snide, and then all of a sudden, bam, 31,000 for a 4.5. So this is kind of an interesting aspect to the conversation. Like you had a 1.8, a 1.0, a 1.0, and a 1.5 all go for sale within the last handful of years, and all of them selling for less than the previous price. This 4.5 is actually on the higher end of the census. You know, here at the 1.0 range, you have 5, 6, 7, 8. So we'll call it a third of the census. And then the 4.5 is in the upper third or the mid-range third. So that could be one of the reasons why there's just like a massive multiple that gets extended once this thing actually sells. So pretty crazy. I mean, I know if I had $31,000, I'd be buying other things personally, but hey, congratulations to that buyer. You know, they were definitely into that one. All right, we got we're almost through the golden age stuff right here, and then we're going to go to the silver age, and we're going to start our Malibu Sun countdown. But yeah, if you guys have other conversations or things to talk about, feel free to let me know. Guys, I have to refill my coffee and go to the bathroom. So somebody tell a joke, or somebody stall for me. Somebody do something. You know what I mean? Like, what should we do here? Should we play a commercial? Should we play a commercial? Should we do a little something? Actually, let's do that. Let's do a commercial. Ready, guys? Let's take a commercial here. Guys, I know we've seen a lot of expensive books go for sale to... I messed up. Can we do it again? I'll do it again. Do it live. Guys, I know we've seen a lot of expensive books go for sale today, but you don't have to have $2 million in the bank to win a good book at auction. All you got to do is head on over to CBB Auctions. That is right. CBB Auctions is having another event this Saturday, February 28th on their website with a lot of great raw books going up for sale. And guys, if you want to, you know, start going to the moon with some comic books, you want to start getting some steals, you want to take advantage of arbitrage situations, you got to head on over to CBB Auctions because they got all of these great raw books up for sale, and their grading is fantastic. You know, you can get a lot of really good keys here. You can send them in for grading at CGC or PSA. Maybe you can beat, you know, some of the markets. You can get some of that equity that, you know, comes at being able to get the graded premium. But they got incredible books up for sale across the gamut here. A lot of modern stuff. You know, they got some classic Journey into Mystery right here, some good old Avengers books. You got Doorway to Nightmare. You got some more Spider-Man, a lot of great keys. I mean, let's kind of just jump around and see, you know, what else is going to go up for sale. what are going to be some good books. I mean, this is one of my favorite books personally. Amazing Spider-Man number 44, second appearance of the Lizard, currently sitting at $16. $16. I mean, Dork sells for like 17 times that amount. And Dork is no second appearance of Lizard, you know? So there's a lot of great books here on CBB Auctions. Definitely head on over to them. Put it on your calendar. You don't want to forget it. You know, this is a great place to find great keys. You got J. Scott Campbell stuff right here, classic Black Hat covers. You got Venom Lethal Protector signed. You got some classic ASM, some Daredevil. Somebody was asking about Avengers. What's good Doctor Doom covers are there? Doctor Doom 25 or Avengers 25, first Doctor Doom against the Avengers, $11. I mean, you can't beat that. So CBB Auctions, guys, head on over to the Comic Book Boys again this Saturday. Their auction event. Put it on the calendar. I think it starts at like 10 a.m. You might be able to sweep up some good things. Also, they have their seller program. So if you're somebody out there who, is a comic book seller, maybe you have some books in your collection that you would like to kind of move on with, and you just want to move a few things and you don't want to pay those crazy fees across all the other platforms, you can be a seller on the Comic Book Boys. I'm a seller over here. I registered. There's my account. I don't have anything up for sale. I mean, maybe I should take my Chamber of Chills and $1 start it next time. Maybe I'll do that. We do it as an experiment. But head on over there. You can consign your books. You can sell it. They offer the best consignment fees in the industry. So again, guys, cbbauctions.com, Comic Book Boys, February 28th. Don't miss out. All right, there we go. Okay, so now what are we doing? I got to get more coffee, guys. I got to get more coffee. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to listen to the auctioneer. We're going to watch him. And he's going to tell you about all the books coming up. We'll be right back. What did I miss? Did my channel go down while I was gone? What happened? That was great TV. That was exciting entertainment. I am so amazed that you guys stuck around. He was killing it though. He was doing great. I mean, you guys couldn't hear anything, but he was working. Changing up the auctioneers fast, do they get that tired? Yeah, I do think that they changed the auctioneers quite a lot, actually. Right? I think that they definitely do that. But I think that they do them per session, so it just depends. All right, let's see here. It says, since you mentioned Absolute Batman 1, could it be the book that splits the ages? What do you mean by that? Like, do you think that that's going to be the book that is like the crossover into the modern market coming into vintage? Potentially. MJ, you said that. I saw your comment. I actually do need to ask you about that. I do want a tech guy. I need your help. We actually you should talk about that. I'm going to reach out to you about that. There's so many things too. Even like just not doing StreamYard. Like, I probably should stream on OBS and do that instead. I think that would probably be better. Um, yeah, I think there's more that you could do overall with it. All right, let me do a refresh here. Looks like this thing is lagged out. Oh, cancel the disable button. A little bit of a hot tip, hot trick, guys. Anytime you go into these auctions, disable live bidding. You see that? Disable. You don't want to slip up and have your mouse accidentally click something, which, by the way, I never actually talked about this, but you guys remember that Frank Frazetta painting that had the $10 million reserve bid on it? That like it got the bid and then it was like retracted and pulled away. I did end up hearing from Heritage about that. And they said it was one of those situations where somebody did the accidental finger slip bid. And I thought that was so funny that it's like, can you imagine? You're like on a $10 million auction, you forget to turn off live bidding, and then you accidentally bid on it. You know what I mean? Like that. So that actually happened. And that's what caused them to be like, oh, okay, we got a bidder, this thing sold. And then they had to like retract it after the fact. But it was interesting. Again, it kind of goes back to that whole thing. And auctioneers will tell you this, like reserve bids can often hurt you a lot more than they can help you if you're somebody that's consigning an item, because it's like, it just gets into like buyer psychology. Like you actually want them to like bid at $1 because then people have put money on the table and now they've kind of anteed up and now they're like invested. But if you put up like the $10 million upfront base, then like it's a barrier for a lot of people to like have to break through to jump into it. And then you can also hurt yourself because then if only one person wants to actually bid on it, like then that's it. That's where it ends. But you're better off getting two people involved at a lower price. And then once they're already in, they're just like, oh, F it. I've already spent 10 million, might as well spend 11 million. And then you can create the bidding war. So I thought that was interesting. Yeah, exactly. That makes for an awkward conversation with my wife. Honey, I accidentally spent $10 million. Like, can you imagine like the feeling that person had? Like at that moment, you're just like, oh my God, you're just, what do I do? What do I do? At the very least, you're just probably going to get like your account suspended or something. I think I also heard that they were sympathetic enough to that person because that person has been, a Heritage user, a buyer, like they've never had any like red flags on their account. So it was a genuine finger slip mistake. So, it sucked for Heritage because they put in a lot of effort into promoting it, but at the same time, they just like they messed that up. To be fair, though, you're a fantastic host, so it's hard to keep on top of everything whilst being live at the same time. Yeah, actually, you know what? Speaking of, I on the last two shows, I had messed up because my microphone in StreamYard was selected as my computer microphone. So like I was so mad because I was like, why do I sound like so weird? Like, why do I sound so echoey? Like, is my voice messed up or whatever? And then I was like, I'm an idiot. Like, for whatever reason, last two shows in StreamYard, my mic was selected as my computer mic. And that's why it sounded the way it did. And I was just like, but you miss those things. Like, it's like, if you guys have ever done streams, I know a lot of you guys have done them. It's like when you're prepping it, you just like forget certain things and you just make little stupid mistakes like that. So Izzy with follow up. Yes, there's always books that split the ages: golden age, silver, bronze, copper, iron, modern. Yeah, I will say. Did I say this on the Ungraded Truth? I did talk a little bit about this. I find it fascinating. Okay, let me start again. One of the things that I find most interesting about the dork conversation is that I even saw people within Facebook groups, which no disrespect to y'all Facebook group contributors out there, but the Facebook groups are like the older demographic of comic book collectors. Like you don't have too many like Facebook new reader, conversations going on in a lot of those comic book groups. A lot of those comic book groups are more of like the vintage variety. Anyways, I found it fascinating because like even Dork got over to that sphere of collector. So like it had such transitional power that even the old guys knew about it. And there's very few books that really can span the entire comic collecting market. You have Ultimate Fallout 4, which is definitely a book that even your most old school golden age guy knows of that book. You have some other occasional J. Scott Campbell stuff that some of the golden age people know about. Then you have like Absolute Batman, and that was one that starting last year, one of my takeaways from going to San Diego and New York Comic Con, like those have one of my takeaways were I saw even vintage booths having like some of the Absolute Batman's inventory on their wall. So I found that fascinating. And then like here now with Dork, like even Golden Age guys know about Dork. So I think that you're right that there are always some books that kind of like can bridge the gap between the different collector bases, and Absolute Batman is certainly that. It's definitely why you have such a what would you say? There's why there's so much opinion about its value. Ryan did that biggest loser of 2026 prediction and said Absolute Batman, and man, that caused like a huge uproar, right? Because there's a lot of like modern people that are not happy about his prediction. And then there's a lot of like vintage guys that they love that the book has gotten hot and now it's going to crash, or they want to see it crash, which I don't really understand that. Like people get so mad when modern books get hot. I don't know why. I mean, I think if I'm going to be charitable, it's coming from a place where they're wanting to help, new collectors, because they're trying to remind them that like, hey guys, books get hot, and eventually they correct, and so they go back down. So I think that they're trying to warn that this is like the next FOMO book, but at the same time, they should really just be okay with it and selling it and celebrating. Like it's cool, if you today's dork buyers are tomorrow's golden age buyers. So you got to get people in with new comic books. So yeah, I do think that's there's certain books that cross the bridges. And little inside baseball for you guys. Like I know if I have a video that's like, if there's any reason to talk about Ultimate Fallout 4, or there's any reason to talk about Absolute Batman, that's going to be a topic or a video that people are going to want to watch, because everybody has an opinion on it. No matter what you collect, everybody has an opinion on some of those books. And I think Dork will be the same. We're all dorks. It's very true. You know, I think it's in the name. I think it's just in the name. People want to talk about market manipulation. People want to talk about why that book is selling. I think Dork is just the best title. It's like the same reason of like, why did people want to buy Dogecoin? Because it was dog. That's why they wanted to buy it. They were like, I want to get some crypto, and that one's a dog. That's hilarious. Same with Dork. I just think people were like, it's called Dork. That's hilarious. And they wanted to buy it. Let me see here. To me, I think the next splitting of the ages will be the start of the new 52. Are they doing a new 52? Is that what they're doing? Quasi says, I listened to Alan the Comic Collector Geeks yesterday, and he made a pretty good case that we are no longer in the modern age of comics. We are in the AI age. And Absolute Batman 1 begins with it. I agree that we're not, quote unquote, in the modern age of comics, or we shouldn't necessarily be in the modern age of comics, or maybe what we could say is that what we deemed as the modern age of comics should have its own branding at this point. And today's comic should be called modern age. But I don't know if AI age is the right word for it. Because I don't think we're quite in the AI age of comics yet. I think that we are definitely going to be in the AI age of comics at some point. This is definitely a not popular thing to say, but we are 100% going to get into the AI age. And that'll be interesting to see how the market reacts to that. I will say that Key Collector actually recently defined a new section on their app where they call it the movie age. I think that's right. I think it's the spec age. Let me double check that actually. Let me pull up Key Collector here. Let me make sure that that's actually correct. Yeah, because you can do a search function on their app, and they have golden, silver, bronze, copper, modern, and film. They have the film age now. Modern. Wait, this is not very helpful. Anyways, they called the film age from 2008 to now. So they called modern 1993 to 2007. And they have the era as the film age. I think that that could be true. But, also too, we have to think about it like as the gold, silver, bronze, copper. Like, isn't there like a system we should be following? Like shouldn't it be like, oh, now we're in the platinum age, or we're in the titanium age, or whatever the other metal is that comes after copper? I suppose we can brand it as the film age. I think that there is something to be said about, there being a kind of a film spec cinematic age. That's definitely something we did see culturally. But yeah, I don't know how we're going to start to define a new era. I might have to just say it. Like, we might just have to start saying it. So let's say that we all just agreed that we were in the adamantium age. Like, I think if I just started doing it on YouTube and I just started saying like, yeah, so this adamantium age book has been selling for da 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 da, and I just start saying it and I like add it into like the lexicon, and then like you guys start to hear it, and then like other people say it, on certain podcasts and shows, and then just like people just start to say it, it just becomes like kind of the colloquial term. Then we'll start to have it. But we just have to like actually pick a term and actually make it happen. And I'm not saying that I can do it. I think you'd be better off with like, take someone like Comic Tom. Like, I think if Comic Tom like wanted to do it, he could start it, and then other people would pick up on it. if Comic Tom called me and said, "Hey, we're calling it the tinfoil age, or we're calling it the zinc age, we're calling it the tin age, or whatever it is," I'd jump on board. I'd do it. Or maybe Key Collector. Key Collector decided it's the film age, so maybe we should just all call it the film age. It has to happen organically, says Izzy. Organic doesn't exist. It's all market manipulation. Let's take a look at some books here. Was there anything that we wanted to talk about? We saw some cool sales, Pep Comics, a lot of Marvel mysteries, cool books, all great stuff. I'm sure that a lot of these books have sold well, because a lot of these things are comic collectors trying to get into a lot of these key books. And this is kind of that price point where you do actually have collectors buying at this level. We saw some AF-15s, a 6.5 for 85, a 5.0 for 40. Seems like a pretty decent price. Although this one has Marvel chipping. I will say that Marvel chipping doesn't bother me that much, but it borrows a lot of collectors. Like, when you talk about what kind of books do collectors pay premiums for compared to others, ones that have Marvel chipping, I tend to feel like get less of a premium. This is also similar if a book has page quality lower than cream. I find that page quality lower than cream also gets lower premiums. And maybe there's some actual, fair concepts around that, because like if you have Marvel chipping and you have page quality lower than cream, your book is actually falling apart. So maybe there's people that don't want to be buying those things that are actually behaving that way. All right. I'm going through the Batmans here. We got Daredevils, got some House Secrets. We're Iron Man, and we're getting close, boys. We are getting close. This is very exciting. Chipping or not, I'll take an AF-15. Well, yeah, me too. For real. Avengers 494 had quite a drop off from previous fair market value sales. Let's take a look. The problem with Avengers 4 is that there's so many competing books. Like, if you are a Captain America fan, there's just so much to buy, because it's not his first appearance. You have tons of amazing Golden Age Captain America books to grab. So even though this is his first Silver Age appearance and it's an awesome book, and frankly, it's one of my favorite covers of all time, I just think that it's hard to justify the money going into this one, especially since there's a lot of them out there. So let's take a look. Avengers 4 in a 9.4. This one could benefit from a cover whitening for sure. It's a little bit yellow. I wonder if you could. Let's take a look at this actually. Oh, right there. That's why it's 9.4. The spine right there. There's some creases on the spine. I was going to say, like, if this just got a whitening, it could look a lot better. Yeah, so 9.4. Well, okay, slash price on gold and 33 on heritage. Well, this one was due for a correction. It's definitely due for a correction. 14,000 back in 2020. So definitely softer because it's selling for its 2020 price. It should sell for maybe 16,000. It needed a couple more bids. But these 33s and 29s, these were COVID inflates that needed to get pulled out. 37 on the census. Yeah, there's just a lot. There's a lot of them out there, 4,000. So there's just a lot of competing books, if you want a Golden Age, Captain America, and all that sort of thing. This auctioneer was quick with a hammer. Lots of low sales, in my opinion. Bro, we got to go to lunch. This guy's like, I'm getting hungry, guys. I want to get out of here. I mean, I don't blame him. I'm like, let's close these sales and go straight to the Malibu Sun. You know what I mean? No, that is a factor, with the auctioneer, because yeah, you're right. Like, I mean, how much sweat equity they want to put into any given lot can make a big difference of what that thing actually sells for. I've definitely seen it where auctioneers, they just going once, going twice. Okay, moving on, next one, you know? And then there's auctioneers where it's like, they're like, oh yeah, this thing is a bid and blah, blah, blah. And they're like, this reminds me of that time, that telling that story. Back in the day, I used to go pick up this book and I was like, blah, blah, blah. And then they like tell a whole anecdote, and they give people like another 90 seconds to think about it. And then all of a sudden bids come in. So the auctioneer is super important. Super important. I wonder what they're going to do with a Malibu Sun. Oh, Jesus. See what else you guys are saying here. Sometimes they'll drag specific auctions out pretty long. That one lady on there does that. Yeah. I think what they have is they probably have a sheet in front of them that tells recent comps and recent sales and fair market values for every book that they're auctioning so that they know, like, hey, you got to be in this window, or like you should in theory be in this window. So like if there is a book that is clearly not around its fair market value, they're likely going to spend more time on it, as they should, because you need to give other people who are watching the auction time to realize, like, oh, what's the value of this Batman book right now? Oh, wait, let me look it up. Oh, this is like $5,000 less than the last couple sales. Let me bid on it. So you got to give people that time to catch up, to actually be able to commentate on it. So I think it makes sense that they pick their times or don't pick their times. Now, the problem is that if they close too soon, then it's kind of disappointing. Because if it's like, oh, this is supposed to be a $10,000 book, cool, it hits $10,000. All right, great, and hammer close. But it's like, but what if that book could have got 12,000? If you massaged it more. So it's probably a push and pull. But all these guys are professionals, and they've probably been doing it for a long time, and they know probably the best practices. And I'm sure they have their reasons. And people wouldn't consign to Heritage if they didn't feel like they were getting good value out of their books. When did drawing tablets get popular? 2013, 2014 should be the start of the digital age. That could be interesting. That could be interesting. Yeah, probably around that time. It's probably around the time when, some of the OA starts to fall off. I kind of view, what is Copper Age? Copper Age is like 84. I view Copper Age as like the start of, what do we think? TMNT 1 or Secret Wars is maybe like the book that I view as Copper Age starting. So I would say that goes up until like 92 or 93, I would say, is the end. I kind of feel like the Image book releases and Death of Superman sort of, to me, identify the end of the Copper Age, because that's like the peak of it. And then after that, like, to me, 94 through 2004, I would almost call something like the Dark Ages, because that was when comic books were really in the gutter in terms of their popularity. A lot of the books in that age are very obscure. Maybe you could double over something with the Dark Ages, because that was also when you got a lot of, frankly, like hot chick covers. Like you got Gen 13s, you had witch blades and things like that, where there was like a ton of like very voluptuous drawings. I mean, that's when we also got the classic Rob Liefeld Captain America chest. So maybe there's something about like Dark Age, or like, something like that. And then to me, I think when you had Mark Miller jump back in, and like the Bendis age. So like starting with Mark Miller in like 2004 and 5, that's when you had Civil War. And I think that Civil War changed everything for comic books. Like that's when you like kind of got into like what I would say is like, it's almost like the good writing age or like the good stories age. You know, the Bendis stuff, the Miller stuff. You had like all this stuff that like was great stories and events and things like that. And I'd say that that probably ran up through around 2011, Miles Morales, Ultimate Fallout, not say, like where that became like a new character age. Maybe you could call it like the Disney age. You know, they bought Disney bought them in 2008. And then like, you know, all the new Ms. Marvels come out, Ultimate Fallout or Miles Morales, Sam Alexander, Jane Foster Thor. You know, so you had all these like new Disney kind of character creations. Maybe you can carve that out, although that's only Marvel specific. So maybe that's not good enough for an age. So maybe film age could just be that. You know, you just call it film age from there. And then I think it wouldn't be wrong to say that Absolute Batman 1 is going to be a new age from here on out. You know, whatever we get from here is going to be a new thing, wherever the next 10 years may be. Here we go, 227. One of the greatest Batman covers to buy. Somebody earlier in the day said, what are the top Batman books to buy? I think that this Neil Adams classic cover, homage to Tech 31, is up there. 9/8 for this. Only have 4 on the census. And we are already at $31,000 for this book. That's really impressive. He's on to the next, guys. He's on to the next. So there it is. Hammer Close, $29,280. Batman 227. Let's take a look. Let's take a look together. See what this one had sold for previously, if there had been a sale previously. So last year, wow, 19,200. Didn't break the record. The record was 42,000 back in 2022. And the pedigree copy was 33,000. So this $29,000 sale, higher than the previous, not the all-time record, but probably selling at the right value that this book should have sold for if you're taking out the COVID evaluation. So really cool to see that. Oh, I guess there's more than 4. So there's 9 on the census. It looks like the heritage page had it wrong. So a great book. I mean, I think that that one is awesome to have. So congratulations to that buyer. All right. What else we got here? Pupe says, is GoCollect better than GPA analysis? I've only ever used GPA analysis. So I use all the various pricing platforms for different reasons. They're all kind of good at certain things and not so good at others. I find GoCollect to be the best interface. You know, it has pictures of the books, unlike GPA. GPA does not have pictures. And also, what's really nifty with GoCollect is, you know, when you look at the recent sales, you can actually see that they have pictures of it. So you can kind of say like, oh, well, why did this copy get 625? And you look at it and you're like, oh, okay, because like this was a really faded cover or something like that. So it kind of gives you a little more context as to like why a book might have sold for a certain thing. And then I like that the census is right here. I like that you know, there's just a lot of things that this website was built very nicely from like a user experience, and especially from a presentation experience when I'm doing videos with you guys. Like you know, that's very, very helpful. GPA, however, I find to be the most accurate when it comes to what have the books actually sold for? What is the recent 30-day moving average, the 90-day moving average? I think if you are a comic book seller, I think you have to have GPA because that's going to be the most up-to-date, most accurate. I think sometimes the GoCollect values and how they scrape, they get wrong books. I've kind of seen like errors within certain listings and things like that. So they're good and bad for different purposes. But I'm frankly, I'm a customer of both of them. I use both of them. But I also have a YouTube channel here, so I kind of need to. And then Cover Price is also great too because they do raw book values, which GoCollect and GPA do not do. So if you are somebody who is interested in raw book values, then cover price is probably the best guide there is for that. Nano says, "What's the next show you are attending, Swag?" So I will be at WonderCon. Um, I have another original art panel that I'll be doing there. So it should be a good one, and I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully, we will be able to do a San Diego original art panel. We've been taking that kind of OA panel on the road, so to speak. So I'm really hoping that with everybody that I do it with, this can be something that we continue to build off of and like kind of help um, give people information on original art and promote original art and answer people's questions because it's very, very difficult to get into. So that's the con I'm definitely going to be attending. And then outside of that, I'll be at San Diego this year. I'll go to New York Comic Con. I want to go to the National, which is the trading card one. I'm thinking about it. I'd like to go to Heroes Con, possibly. And then I will definitely also go to Collector Summit, the OA one, later on this year. And then there's another con that I don't think has been announced yet, so I won't say. But if that one goes, I will definitely go to it. And Nando, you probably know what that one is because you work with them. So those are it. Ozzy says, "Come to Heroes with Drew and I." Yeah, I do want to go, Ozzy. Haven't seen you guys in a while. That would be a fun one to go to. So it's kind of on my list, but they're always kind of around the same time in the summer. So it's tough. It's tough. Okay. You might be at the National too. Good to know. Good to know. And Chris, you'll be at Collector Summit. Okay. So awesome. Yeah. What I really want to do is I've been talking to the Collector Summit guys. Shout out to Nathan. I would love to do an Ungraded Truth show at Collector Summit, like a live show, maybe like we can do some interviews, we can do some streams, we can do a whole thing, cover it, in a way. So I think that would be pretty awesome. I've talked about doing that show at the other con that I won't talk about because again, it hasn't been announced yet. And I don't want to be the person to announce it if that's not on the cards. So that's also what I would like to do. So hopefully we can make that happen because I think that'd be cool. It sort of feels like that's the point. You should be having these shows, do live events at the places, doing the live coverages and things like that, just like any other conference that you would have stuff like that happen. So hopefully we can get that together. I'm stalling a little bit, guys. I'm stalling. Okay, we got Conan #1 in the 9/8 selling for $7,900. Conan, all the books that have corrected with Marvel and all this stuff, the Barry Windsor Smith fans, they always come up to play. They always show up, I think that it's kind of what I talked about earlier with like the Tech 29s and Tech 31s, like why those books always do well. It's because beyond their pop culture significance, they're just the books that comic book lifers, comic book collecting lifers will always want to own. And similarly, comic book collecting lifers will always want to own Barry Windsor Smith or Bernie Wrightson or certain artists that are celebrated purely from their comic book clout. And so Neil Adams being another one, so like 251 here or 227, like Conan 1, like these books will always sell well beyond movie spec, beyond Daredevil getting a Disney Plus show. And when I say well, I mean like consistent, I should articulate, because obviously Daredevil 1 sells for more than Conan. But you guys know what I'm getting at here, where there's like a more of like a pure collector fandom that exists for these types of books, rather than is Giant Size X-Men going to be, a book that is going to have a movie soon. Similar, again, I know that House of Secrets 92 is like the first appearance of Swamp Thing, but like Swamp Thing being in a movie isn't the reason why this book is going to be valuable. It's going to be valuable because just people just identify it as like, oh, it's the Bernie Wrightson book. It's the one to own, along with Tomb 10 and Werewolf by Night 32. Yeah. Or are you saying that Tomb 10 and Werewolf by Night 32 are like movie spec, and that's why they get pullbacks? Or are you saying that they have the fan base? Snicked is helping out on Collector Summit in Vegas, and we'll absolutely be having a setup for a live stream. Yeah, I will definitely be taking advantage of that, Mike, for sure. And actually, by the way, a little bit of a shameless plug here, guys. I don't know if you guys know, but yesterday we put out a video where I talked to Mike from Snick, and we did a whole conversation about original art. And if you guys are interested in that stuff, I definitely highly recommend that you check it out. I thought it was a really good interview, really good conversation, and I like doing that stuff. So I realize, like, some of the catalog of content that I do is not going to always be for everybody. Like, more people would rather watch me talk about dork, which I get, but I like to vary it up. Sometimes we got to complain about CGC. Sometimes we got to talk about dork. Sometimes we got to unbox Darkhawk original art, comic coming or video coming soon. And then sometimes we got to talk about, OA stuff. We got to do it all, guys. We got to do it all. It's a catalog of content on the channel. And sometimes we got to talk about Pokemon cards and things like that. All right, we are at the 9.6 here. What is this going to go for? 24,000. I do believe that there's a 9.8, right? House 92. Didn't the 9.8 go for like almost 100K? I think it did. A beautiful copy. You know what was so funny? There was this House of Secrets 92 on Comic Link. Okay, so 84,000 for the recent 9.8 sale. 9.6, 45, 33, 30. 45, 33, 30. Okay, so it's sitting a little low right now, guys. Sitting a little low, but this could be due to the COVID correction. Anyways, let me tell my little story. There was a book on Comic Link that was a PGX 9.8, or maybe it was a 9.6, but it was a PGX book. And I was looking at it, and it was sitting at like $5,000. And I was like, oh man, do we do this for the content? Like, imagine I bought that and then we just like crack it open and see what we get. And I win the lotto and get it to like get a CGC 9.8 or something like that. I was thinking about it, but then it ended up selling for like 13K. And I was like, I'm not putting up 13K for content. That's ridiculous. But I was considering it. All right. So hammer close at $24,400 for the House 92. So let's take a look here. Wow. Okay. Okay, guys. 45,000 for the last 9.6 just this past November. So just 4 months ago. This book got twice the amount. I thought when I saw this 45, I thought that was like, oh yeah, maybe that's like a 2023 number or something like that. But man, this person got a nice little deal for themselves at 24,000. Now, I could also make the argument, however, that this was a book in 2021 and 2017 that was 11,000. So perhaps this 24,000 sale is the right number, and the $40,000 sale was the ridiculous number to pay for this book. So I don't know. Depends on how you want to look at it, but definitely a bit of a haircut on that one. Definitely a bit of a haircut. The Bronze Age Horror Camp is not going to be happy about that one. Okay, we got a House of Secrets 103 in a 9.8. Another Wrightson cover selling for $4,300. That seems low to me. Seems low to me. House of Secrets 123. The ice cream cover, which, by the way, this was a book that actually sold on Landry Pop. And I think it got like 10,000. Something like that. I don't know if Landry Pop's auctions go into GPA or GOCOLLECT, but I remember seeing that book do really well. Yeah, so last auction for this Bernie Wrightson was 5,040. And this one getting $43.92. So, I got to say, listen, I love Bronze Age horror like the next guy. I think the covers are really cool. But one time I did a Bronze Age horror video and I got the ire of the Bronze Age horror market coming after me. They were so mad that I said that some Bronze Age books or Bronze Age horror books don't perform. They got really mad at me. But guys, sometimes Bronze Age horror books also don't perform. It happens. They're all great though. They're awesome, you know? All right, looks like the ice cream cover got a couple more bids here. Let's take a look. House 123. Very cool cover. 9-4's got 4 on the census. Previous sale was 13,000. 75 before that. Oh. Oh. Yeah. Oh, 13,000 in September. 6,700 in February. Ooh. Bronze Age horror, sell, 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 sell. Bronze Age horror getting the SAS treatment in this auction right here. Don't come after me, guys. I love Bronze Age horror. I like it. Dude, they got so mad at me. They got so mad. I understand why. I said some things. I take it back. I take some things back. Guys, we're getting close. We are 5 books away from the Malibu Sun. This is exciting. This is what we've been waiting for. Oh, baby. Here we go, guys. Here we go. Let's start it up. Okay. Everybody jump around. Hold on. Hold on. Let's stretch it out. Stretch it out. We got to get high energy for this one, guys. High energy for this one. We got to get pumped up. We got to get pumped up. Okay. Because I might clip this. We might clip this. We gotta get the reel ready. All right. I'm going to need full Swaggle energy. All right. Here we go. Here we go. I will answer Andy's comment right here. So September is a better time to sell horror books. Yeah, Andy, I do think that there is a little bit of seasonality within Bronze Age horror and PCH, pre-code horror. I mean, it makes sense. There's seasonality, right? Like, Halloween rolls around, people are starting to share their pre-code horror books, that whole thing. So yeah, like I think you can get better premiums, slightly better premiums around that time. But hey, the people that bought these books right now, maybe there's some dealers that bought these things. They're setting themselves up very nicely to move on with them later on in the year. So, I'm sure that the people who got those books are really, really ecstatic about the fact that they were able to get them for those prices. But yes, I do think that there's seasonality there. All right, let's see here. Last question before we lock in. If there's a meteor heading straight for the stream room, which book are you grabbing and running out with? The sentimental books. My brother's Wolverine #1. That's what I'm getting. All right, guys. Here we are. Okay, let's clean up the tabs. We got the Malibu Sun currently sitting at $20,130. Actually, let me start that again. All right, guys. Here we are. 1 book away from the Malibu Sun 13. What could be the world record for the Spawn comic book universe. This has the chance to be the peak of the Spawn comic collecting mountain, currently sitting at $20,130, the highest graded Malibu Sun 13 known to exist. And it belongs to the 99 Newsstand, who is a co-host of the Ungraded Truth podcast and YouTube channel. Very exciting to see this one. I don't know, guys. We got to put our predictions in. Let's take our bets. What are we thinking? Let's get ready to rumble. Derek says, it's time. Here we go, guys. All right. We hear 17. Malibu Sun 13, the number one Spawn comic in the world. Come on, Auctioneer. Push it, push it, push it, baby. Let's go. Do we get another bid? Come on. Come on. Let's go, boys. Fair warning. Don't fair warning me. Don't you fair warning. What? You hit me with a fair warning? You got me with a fair warning? What? No. No. It was right there. It was one bid away. It was one bid for the record. What? That was how? We can't hammer that. I demand a redo. We need a redo. That was BS. 20,130. It's still a lot of money, guys. It's still a lot of money. Congratulations to my good friend Manu selling his book for $20,130. That's a lot more than what the 9.8 goes for. The 9.8s for this selling at the $3,000 to $3,500 range. This one is a lot more. Now, I got to say, I am a little disappointed. I am a little disappointed that it did not break the record, which still sits in terms of recorded Spawn sales for the Malibu Sun Error variant that is signed by Todd McFarlane himself. That sold, I believe, for $20,400. We were one bid away, unfortunately, from that. Frankly, I blame myself. I blame myself. I should have put in a bid. I got to be honest. I thought just for the memes, this morning I woke up and I thought to myself, you know what would be hilarious is if I bought this book. And then I realized that would be silly. Don't do that. Everyone would get mad at me and say that I am a shill bidder. So then I didn't do it. But with that all being said, I think that it's a great moment. It still is an amazing achievement, an amazing sale, a good boon for PSA graded comic books, because this could be one of the highest PSA graded comic book sales I think that there actually has been. I would definitely say that this is probably in the top 5. I think I am right to say that. Certainly in the top 10, though, because, obviously PSA being new to the market, there's been, them getting in their inventory. We've had the Superman 1 sale. We had the More Fun Comics sale. We've had the Killing Joke sale. And we've had the first appearance of Gambit sale. So I do think that this is probably one of the highest selling PSA comics that there has been. So congratulations to Manu for this one. Congratulations to the new owner of the Malibu Sun, one of the most expensive Spawn books ever to be purchased. I'm sure that they're going to do very well for themselves in the future. Well, guys, we did it. It's been a journey. It's been a hell of a run. And I want to say thank you to all of you guys for hanging out in the chat with me today. It's always fun to cover these auctions, see what these books end up selling for. Again, it's been awesome time kicking it. We've been going for almost 3 hours here. I got to go to the bathroom. I got to eat. I got to get on with my day. But we'll definitely be talking about the Malibu Sun sale on the next episode of The Ungraded Truth, which, by the way, guys, if you haven't already, please head on over to the Ungraded Truth YouTube channel. Give it a like, give it a sub, give it a follow. Maybe even more importantly, if you are a real fan, you'll go over to this description. You'll pop over to Spotify and you'll give us a listen on Spotify. You know what I mean? You'll give us a 5-star review here, because The Ungraded Truth is the #1 podcast in the world. Now, also, if you guys are not already currently subscribed to my YouTube channel, I would also say, hey, give my YouTube channel a subscribe. Give this video a like, share it with those in the community that you think it's worth being shared to. Check out the recent interview I did with Zatari, which is on my YouTube channel. And with that, guys, I think I'm going to end the stream right there. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me once again today. Congratulations to everybody who bought books today. Congratulations to everyone who sold books today. I will definitely be bidding on some books off stream later on in sessions number 3 and number 4, because that's how I roll, because that's the type of money that I got. I got that session 3 money. Anyways, that's all for this one. Thanks so much for hanging out today, guys. Talk to you on the next stream. Peace.